Chapter 1197. As Nyeyen grabbed Miso's head and ran down, he sensed an increasingly dense dark energy coming from underground. After running for a while, they arrived in front of a large door. This door was so thick that not even a Lord of Heaven could break it open. If it was Tianyun, he would be able to break it, but if he did so, it would alarm the big shots of Evil Moon City. Hence, he kept a low profile, letting Miso summon him, then launching a sneak attack. Everything was going according to plan. "Open the door for me." Tianyun dragged Miso forward. I won't open the door for you, you damned human." Bang! Tianyun grabbed Miso's head and smashed it against the door. After smashing it twice, the door slowly opened. The main thing was that once the door was stained with President Miso's blood, it could slowly open. Without his blood, the door could not be opened. "I didn't ask you to open the door for me. I was just saying." Tianyun dragged Miso's head back. Miso was already dizzy. Being smashed twice was a real pain. After the door opened, a thick wave of dark attribute energy rushed over and began to heal President Miso's injuries. However, it was useless. Tianyun quickly suppressed it, making it hard for him to recover. After entering, the first thing that came into view was naturally the dark core. The massive dark core was embedded in the ground, surrounded by divine rune arrays so that the dark energy could flow to its surface. The dark core was only one of Tianyun's targets. The other was the spirit fruit growing on top of the core. That's right, a fruit tree was growing on top of the core. It looked like a plump black fruit was forming, emitting a faint black glow. This was a rank 6 God Realm dark spirit fruit, an extremely high-grade spirit fruit. According to legend, it would only grow on a core. This kind of dark spirit fruit would constantly absorb the core's energy. Normally, it would only grow 2 spirit fruit. The main thing was that after growing 2, the energy essence of the parasitic core would be sucked dry. However, in terms of rarity, this dark spirit fruit was much more valuable than the core. The two were not even on the same level. Cores were very precious, but they were divided into different grades. The dark core in front of him was only a second-grade treasure. However, this second-grade treasure couldn't be compared with other treasures. The main thing was its usefulness. The core could allow a planet to have more life. The use of this dark spirit fruit was to crazily strengthen one's dark attribute physique, which could raise one's realm by a large margin. If one did not have the dark attribute after consuming it, one would be able to obtain the dark attribute constitution. Moreover, it would be the dark sage body, which was considered to be of a higher grade. It was just that the difficulty of condensing this dark spirit fruit was too high, and the time required was similarly very long. Without tens of thousands of years, it would be impossible for the dark spirit fruit to grow. The fact that the dark spirit fruit was about to ripen meant that it had been growing for tens of thousands of years. It was obvious that Miso wanted to keep it for himself so that he could improve his physique. Who would have thought that Tianyun would discover it? His appraisal eye pierced through the layers of divine runes and saw the situation inside. What attracted him the most was the dark spirit fruit. As for the dark core, it was not bad, but there were quite a few of them here, so it would be difficult to take them away. The core wasn't something that could be taken away at will. If it could be taken away at will, it would have been easily taken away by others. If one wanted to take away the core, one would need powerful heavenly Tao energy to turn into a rope and drag the core away. This had to be dragged away slowly, which was rather difficult. Or rather, dragging a core away was equivalent to turning oneself into a big target. How could one not attract attention? However, Tianyun had a bold idea that he hadn't tried before. Perhaps he could try it now. How did you find the dark spirit fruit here?" Miso was shocked. He was about to go crazy. "Why do you care how I found it? Since I found this place, everything here belongs to me." Tianyun looked at the dark spirit fruit. He felt that it was not bad, mainly because it could be used to strengthen the evil spirit puppets. The stronger the evil spirit puppets were, the better. In the future, they could be his fighters. How could he waste them? Especially with so many evil spirit race beings, after killing so many, his cultivation would definitely rise rapidly. Following that, the heavenly tribulation would be difficult to resist. Without some foundation, it would be difficult to rush to a higher level. The dark spirit fruit was undoubtedly a good thing. It could greatly strengthen one's physique. When the time came, it would undoubtedly be easier to sneak into the evil spirit race. Strength was always the most important. If he didn't want the forces in the divine realm to reject him, he had to increase his cultivation. Only then could he successfully sneak in. Otherwise, how could he sneak in without even a stepping stone? Be ****, I am going to kill you! Miso roared. He wanted to struggle and resist, but how could he be stronger than Tianyun? Kill me? Then I'll kill you first. Your value is only to help me open the door. Then Tianyun squeezed hard. With a bang, Miso's head was easily crushed, turning into a ball of blood. He was here to open the door. If he forced his way in, the impact would be too great. Ding! Successfully killed Miso. Obtained 7 compressed experience points. Evil spirit blood, evil spirit bone, evil spirit soul, Lord of Heaven level. If the evil spirit puppet absorbed the evil spirit soul of the Lord of Heaven level, the effects would undoubtedly be even more shocking. After killing it, Tianyun came in front of the dark spirit fruit. As soon as he got close, the dark spirit fruit immediately swept out several pitch-black whips towards him. Tianyun stretched out his hand and lightly flicked the pitch-black whips away, dissipating in the air. Squeak, 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 the dark spirit fruit let out a few screams. The long whips that were thrown out were actually its root. Since its roots had been destroyed, it would definitely feel pain. However, this way, it wouldn't continue to attack. It even attacks people and wants to suck me dry? Tianyun narrowed his eyes and looked at it. As expected of the dark spirit fruit, the fruit of evil, it wants to suck anything with a bit of life force. It's a pity you met me. But I don't have time to wait for you to condense a second fruit. Tianyun reached out and waved at the dark spirit fruit. A powerful force immediately locked onto the dark spirit fruit. The dark spirit fruit writhed wildly, trying to break free. But how could its strength compare to Tianyun's? With a gentle tug, the dark spirit fruit let out a shrill cry and was caught in his hand. As soon as it landed in his hand, a plume of black smoke floated up from the dark spirit fruit. Then, the dark spirit fruit in his hand was no longer a dark spirit fruit, but a beautiful girl. This girl had beautiful eyes and black hair. Her skin was like jade. She was even more beautiful than the women outside. Chapter 1198. The dark spirit fruit turned into a beautiful girl, looking pitiful and pitiful. In this case, there are still many people who can't bear to eat it. Young master, please let me go, okay? The girl begged. I will help you, let you become stronger quickly, please don't eat me, get lost? Tianyun's eyes turned cold, the strength in his hand suddenly increased a bit. Under this squeeze, the girl screamed, the illusion suddenly disappeared, and turned back into a spirit fruit, no different from before. This is undoubtedly the charm ability of the dark spirit fruit. It wants to charm Tianyun, so that he won't eat it. However, it doesn't make any sense, this charm is meaningless to him. He can easily break it and turn back into an ordinary dark spirit fruit. This is a small trick of a high-grade spirit fruit. If he really listened to it, he doesn't know from which angle it will attack him and suck him dry. Spirit fruits that reach this level, including other spirit herbs, have some initial spiritual wisdom. How can it let others eat it at will? Therefore, it will definitely use some means to protect itself. However, illusion is always illusion, it is not a real entity, it is easy to see through. This kind of charm is meaningless to him, it only arouses his anger. Since it dared to charm him, he will not be polite. It has a little spiritual wisdom. If it was any other cultivator, they will really be charmed by you. Tianyun looked at the dark spirit fruit coldly. If he is a little careless, he will die. Compassion can exist, but it depends on what you have compassion for. The dark spirit fruit is evil, it will devour anything except itself. It will not make sense to sympathize with it, it will only make you become its fertilizer earlier. Immediately, he threw the dark spirit fruit into the shop and sold it, in exchange for a few 100,000 crazy points. Not compressed crazy points, the two are different concepts. Then he looked at the situation in the shop. This dark spirit fruit is expensive, as high as 80 million crazy points. Converted to compressed crazy points is equal to 8 points. When it was sold, it was only a few tenths of compressed crazy points, but when it was bought, it cost 8 crazy points. This shop was simply an invincible scam. Tianyun wasn't an idiot. The reason he sold it to the store was simple. It was to let him buy the dark spirit fruit. Dark spirit fruit is very rare, so it's normal for it to be worth 8 crazy points. This way, he would be able to purchase it at will. It wouldn't be a problem to use it to strengthen the evil spirit puppets or use it to replace other treasures. After all, this item was considerably rare. If Shurfeng brought it to God's domain, it would cause a mad scramble for it. If it was sold, it would cause an even greater uproar. For him, as long as he has crazy points, he can buy unlimited items, regardless of the number of times. It would be a little painful in the beginning, but at least they could keep buying. After all, the dark spirit fruit needed to grow on top of the dark core and needed to be nurtured for tens of thousands of years. He could not afford to wait that long. The simplest and crudest method was to throw it into the store and buy it again. It was simple, crude, and quite practical. If he doesn't have crazy points, he will have it later. 8 crazy points. Tianyun shook his head. The price was really high. If it weren't for the fact that he was surrounded by Star Monarch level and above, he doesn't know how many crazy points he could get from killing them. Immediately, he looked at the dark core. He lifted his foot and came to the front of the dark core. He reached out and climbed on it. Collect. With a whoosh, the huge dark core disappeared in front of him. Originally, the dark core was filled with dark core, but now it was empty. It was like a big piece of empty space. The dark core didn't disappear, but he kept it in his inventory. He wanted to try this before, but he can't take away the dark core at will. Otherwise, it will definitely cause a big mess. The dark core here is different. There is no problem in taking it away at will. After trying it out, he easily put it into his inventory. It was extremely easy. Instant kill all storage space, and even the inner world. It's really taken away. This way I can easily take away the dark core. Tianyun was happy. He wanted to ask if he could take away the dark core. If he could smoothly steal the dark core here. That would be perfect. After taking away the dark core, he didn't stay here for long and left. When he went up to the top, the room was still empty, no one came in. After opening the door, he saw Deacon Shu Gu waiting outside, not daring to leave. "Honored guest, you came out. May I know what's the situation with President Miso?" He couldn't feel President Miso's aura, so he was a little confused. "Your president is still in the secret room." He said not to disturb him. "I used a good treasure to exchange with your president. I think he is going to go into seclusion." Tianyun lied without blinking. Deacon Shu Gu nodded. He didn't think Tianyun was lying, so he didn't go in. Mainly, he felt that with such a huge gap in cultivation, how could Tianyun hurt their president? Then Tianyun swaggered out. As soon as he came out, he immediately attracted the attention of Earth Lord Fau and the others. They looked at each other, indicating that they would act according to the plan. Tianyun lifted his feet and flew out, planning to leave Evil Moon City. After flying out of Evil Moon City, he flew straight to the spacious world outside. Actually, he just randomly chose a place without the evil spirit race and flew to see how many people would chase after him. After flying for a while, He came to a rather remote area, and suddenly, a few figures appeared in front of him. "Friend, where are you going in such a hurry?" The people who appeared in front of Tianyun were Earth Lord Fau, Earth Lord Fan Na, and other Earth Lords who came out of nowhere. In the blink of an eye, 6 Earth Lords blocked in front of him. Before Tianyun could reply, a few more figures appeared beside him. "Earth Lord Fau, you guys really came to intercept us?" At this moment, a group of Earth Lords appeared at the side. When they saw them, they weren't surprised. "Earth Lord Yugo, you guys actually came?" Earth Lord Fau and the others' eyes turned cold. With so many people involved, it wouldn't be easy to split the spoils. The other group also had many Earth Lords. There were also 5 of them. In total, there were 11 Earth Lords surrounding them. It was really a big move. Chapter 1199. Earth Monarch Fau, if you can come, why can't we? Earth Monarch Yugo and the others looked at them coldly with hostility. It wasn't that they didn't have a good relationship, but there were too many people now, and it wasn't easy to distribute the items. Before they finished their conversation, another group of Earth Monarchs appeared. From a dozen, they piled up to 20, then 30. After piling up, there were finally more than 40 Earth Monarchs, and some Star Monarchs surrounded them. There were more than 70 of them in total. It was unknown if this number would increase, or if 1 or 2 Lord of Heaven would appear. With so many Earth Monarchs, it's the right decision to be high-profile. Tianyun smiled. This was what he needed, to capture most of the Earth Monarchs in one fell swoop. There were many Earth Monarchs in Evil Moon City, but most of them were here. As long as they eliminated this group of Earth Monarchs, Evil Moon City's combat power would be reduced by half, and the rest would be left to Yu Ming. This was equivalent to giving Yu Ming a mission. If he couldn't even complete this mission, then he wouldn't be qualified to be the God General. While he was planning how to crush this group of idiots, they were in a heated argument. "I didn't expect all of you to come. Why, do you all want to get some benefits from him? Aren't you? He has so many weapons and treasures, and there might be more that he hasn't revealed yet. We just came along to ask for a weapon or 2. Bullsh *T. He provoked me before, and even tried to snatch my slaves. He didn't give me any face at all. What did he do to you? He has no enmity with us, he just came to borrow some treasures. Do you have anything to say?" They all started cursing at each other, not wanting each other to get involved and affect their own benefit. "Enough." Earth Monarch Fan Na snorted and said coldly, "What are you arguing about? Now is not the time to say such things. Let's see what treasures he has first." Hearing this, the other Earth Monarchs nodded in agreement. It seemed like Earth Monarch Fan Na's words carried quite a lot of weight. Immediately, everyone calmed down and stopped arguing. Then, they all stared at Tianyun. "Unfortunately, you've provoked me. I asked you to give me some face, but you refused. Now I'll give you a chance. Either you die or you hand over all your treasures. It's that simple." Earth Monarch Fan Na said coldly, "I'm giving you a chance to redeem yourself. I don't care where you come from, but Evil Moon City is our territory. In our territory, you have to listen to us." Earth Monarch Fan Na was just that arrogant. She might not have any say in the deity domain, but in Evil Moon City, there was no problem. She didn't dare to say that she had absolute authority, but at the very least, most of the Earth Monarchs would stand behind her. "I'm just buying slaves normally. What's wrong with that?" Tianyun shrugged. "It's true that you bought slaves, but you bought the slaves that I wanted. That's a big mistake." Earth Monarch Fan Na looked at him coldly and said, "It seems like you don't know how to do things. I don't know which faction taught you, but it's a miracle that you can cultivate to this level." "What? From your tone, it sounds like I'm going to die if I don't listen to your orders?" Tianyun laughed. "No, I should say that I'm going to die from the very beginning. I don't think you'll let me go. You just want to see what treasures I have so that you won't destroy them in a fight." Weapons were naturally harder to destroy, but elixirs were easier to destroy. Therefore, they first gave a scare before attacking fiercely. They couldn't figure out Etienne's identity, so the best outcome was to kill him. As long as they killed him, everything would be a secret. Earth Monarch Fan Na's cold eyes flickered with coldness. It seems like you're not stupid, but there's something wrong with your head. Since you've figured it out, it'll be much easier. If you're straightforward and hand over all your treasures, we won't let you die too painfully. From the very beginning, they didn't plan to let Etienne go. Now that they were exposed, they could only tell the truth. Is that so? If I really did that, then there must be something wrong with my head. Etienne glanced around and said with a sneer, "My friend, don't hide, come out quickly." Earth Monarch Fan Na and the others were startled and quickly looked to the side. There was no one there. They quickly looked to where Etienne was and found that he was still there. He didn't purposely deceive them and then run away. Not willing to come out? Etienne flicked his hand, and a beam of light burst out, and then fell on the corner of the room. Bang! A group of figures appeared on the side. They were none other than Deacon Shu Go and the others from the auction. He didn't expect them to follow him. "Esteemed guest, we don't have any ill intentions. We're just here to take a look." Deacon Shu Go rubbed his palms with a wretched expression. Who would believe him? Even a 3-year-old wouldn't believe him if he was just here to take a look. "Deacon Shu Go, you're all here?" Earth Monarch Fan Na's expression sank. She didn't expect them to hide behind her without being discovered. "We don't have any ill intentions. We're just here to take a look." Deacon Shu Go chuckled. "Don't talk so much nonsense, since you're already here. There's no point in continuing to talk like this." Etienne said indifferently, "Do you want to come here to rob us? Didn't you say that I'm an esteemed guest? Is this how you treat an esteemed guest?" "This..." Deacon Shu Go squinted at him and smiled. "Esteemed guest, you've misunderstood us. If you're willing to pay the price, we'll do our best to protect you and prevent them from harming you. However, the price is a little high. I hope you can understand. Looting a burning house. The status of the auction house wasn't low. They didn't even fear Earth Monarch Fan Na, so they naturally dared to say such words. "Deacon Shu Go, how dare you?" Earth Monarch Fan Na's eyes turned cold. She didn't expect Deacon Shu Ji's group to interfere. If they rescued Etienne, who knew what kind of identity Etienne had? At that time, Deacon Shu Go would definitely gain double the reward. You flatter me, you flatter me." Deacon Shu Go smiled. "I'm a coward. I just want to do some small business." Now there were two sides. As long as Etienne said he would hand over the treasures, Deacon Shu Ji's group would immediately charge over to rescue him. Otherwise, he would be at the mercy of Earth Monarch Fan Na's group. Chapter 1200. They thought that Etienne would choose them, but little did they know that Etienne wouldn't choose anyone. Seeing them quarreling made him laugh. More than half of the experts in Evil Moon City had come. In total, there were at least 70 to 80 Earth Monarchs. How could he not be happy with the huge amount of experience points in front of him? "I didn't expect to attract so many Earth Monarchs. I've really struck it rich this time." Etienne smiled and felt very happy. When Earth Monarch Fau and the others saw that Etienne could still smile, they were instantly enraged. They thought that Etienne would definitely choose Deacon Shu Go to protect him and escape. That was why he was smiling so happily. Deacon Shu Go had brought a lot of Earth Monarchs. There were also over a dozen Earth Monarchs. Most importantly, Deacon Shu Ji's background wasn't weak. They couldn't casually injure Deacon Shu Go. Otherwise, President Miso would definitely pursue the matter. Of course, President Miso was already dead, and there was no way he would pursue the matter. Deacon Shu Go also thought that Etienne wanted his protection, which was why he was smiling so happily. "Esteemed guest, it seems like you have made a wise decision?" Deacon Shu Go responded with a smile. He looked at Yi Tianyun as though he was looking at a money tree that could constantly produce money. Of course, I have made the decision from the beginning. Yi Tianyun smiled. Then you are sure that you want us to be your guards and rescue you? Deacon Shu Gu smiled. Deacon Shu Gu, aren't you being too arrogant? Do you think you can save him with just these few people? Earth Monarch Fan Na and the others were instantly enraged. This kind of condescension was simply too arrogant. That's right. Do you think we are vegetarians? Even if your president is here, he would have to think twice. All of them were infuriated. Even if their cultivation wasn't as high as President Miso's, it didn't mean that they couldn't find someone stronger. Then why don't you try? Deacon Shu Ji's eyes narrowed and flickered with coldness. You guys wait. Yi Tianyun motioned for them to stop. Instantly, everyone's eyes focused on him. Who said that I need Deacon Shu Ji's protection? He doesn't want Deacon Shu Ji's protection? They were all dumbfounded, wondering if they had heard wrong. Esteemed guest, what do you mean by this? If you don't let us protect you, do you think you can escape by yourself? Deacon Shu Ji's expression turned ugly. Wasn't this a slap to his face? No, I won't escape. I will kill all of you here. As soon as the words were spoken, Yi Tianyun's figure appeared in the sky. Before they could react, the title of the top earthly monarch of all times was unleashed. The absolute suppression of earthly monarchs was immediately unleashed, especially with the suppression of the heavenly Tao's power. It immediately caused their strength to shrink drastically. It was as if they had become extremely weak star monarchs. They were greatly weakened. Human race? They were stunned. They didn't know what was going on. Suddenly, a human came out from the evil spirit race's body. More importantly, they felt that their strength had been greatly reduced, and they could not even raise their strength. It was as if there was some kind of power suppressing them, making them unable to move. Die. Yi Tianyun didn't have time to be long-winded with them. His figure flashed, and two figures swept to the side. Yi Tianyun swung his spear. As if he was harvesting cabbages, a wave of evil spirit race was directly swept into ashes. The evil spirit puppets attacked at the same time. One punch was like smashing eggs. It didn't take any effort at all. In the blink of an eye, a majority of the evil spirit race were killed. It was as easy as cutting melons and vegetables. Ding. Successfully killed evil spirit race, Earth Monarch Level 3. Obtained experience. Obtained evil spirit soul, evil spirit blood, Earth Monarch Level. Ding. Successfully killed evil spirit race, Earth Monarch Level 2. Obtained experience. Ding. A string of pleasant sounds rang out, and shocking numbers kept popping up. The Earth Monarch level experience was quite a lot. Although he needed a lot of experience to level up, it was very little. Coupled with the 64 times experience, it was already quite shocking. Right now, the most important thing for him was to obtain the materials of the evil spirit race. When the time came, he would use them all on the evil spirit puppets, and they would be able to increase by several levels. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the evil spirit race had been swept away. All of them were shocked. Some of them reacted in time to escape, but they realized that they couldn't fly at all. Under the suppression of this title, their speed wasn't even 10% of their usual speed. In Yi Tianyun's eyes, they were like snails. Where are you trying to escape to? Yi Tianyun's figure flashed and blocked in front of Earth Monarch Fan Na. I didn't expect our evil spirit race to collude with the human race. This is simply despicable. Earth Monarch Fan Na was infuriated. What she couldn't accept the most was that her own race would collude with outsiders. This was absolutely not allowed. Even if they had a fierce internal strife, they disdained to collude with the human race. It was simply a disgrace to their status. Is that so? Then you can go to hell and enjoy your despicable life. Yi Tianyun sneered and pierced through Earth Monarch Fan Na's body with his spear. At the same time, with a twist of his spear, the enormous body immediately turned into a blood mist. She couldn't be any more dead. Following that, his figure flashed and blocked in front of Earth Monarch FAU again. Before the other party could speak, he had already pierced through her. Why your human race will be exterminated, bang! Tianyun twisted his hand, and Earth Monarch FAU was completely exterminated. Before our human race is exterminated, your evil spirit race shall be exterminated first. Tianyun's eyes turned cold. He quickly turned his gaze to the other evil spirit race members and attacked them in a frenzy. None of them could run fast enough, so they could only wait to be slaughtered. The evil spirit puppet quickly blocked in front of Deacon Shu Go and swung its fist toward him. Esteemed guest, I promise I won't tell anyone that you are with the human race. Deacon Shu Go did beg for mercy, but what awaited him was a cold fist. The evil spirit puppet couldn't speak at all. Previously, it was Tianyun who had used his voice. Right now, the evil spirit race only gave the order to exterminate the surrounding evil spirit race members. How could it speak? It basically killed one with a single punch, and all of them died like dogs. Under the joint attack of the human and the puppet, 80 to 90 evil spirit race members were easily eliminated, and they obtained a huge pile of experience points and materials. The densely packed pile of decent materials was enough for the evil spirit puppet to improve by a large margin. Not bad, not bad. The harvest is bountiful, but it's still not enough. Tianyun looked at the evil moon city in the distance and focused his eyes. The materials were still too little, and he needed more materials to upgrade it. He wanted the evil spirit puppet to reach the peak stage of the Earth Monarch realm or the Lord of Heaven in one go. Only then would it be more valuable. It's about time to start. Most of the Earth Monarchs have been eliminated, and the rest are just some low-tier trash. Tianyun's eyes turned cold. The cleanup operation was about to begin. Chapter 1201. Tianyun's gaze turned cold, and with a wave of his hand, Yuming appeared in front of him, along with a bunch of other slaves. Currently, the group of slaves had mostly recovered, and their mental states were much better. When they saw Tianyun, they were all stunned. They had never seen Tianyun's true body before. They never thought that the master they believed in was actually a human. Even if they had said it before, now that they saw it with their own eyes, they were all stunned. Master, this servant is ready to receive your orders. Yuming half knelt in the air, her face full of respect. She knew that after being summoned, it would definitely begin. Most of the Earth Monarchs have already been eliminated by me. You will encounter very few Earth Monarchs later. But don't worry, leave this to me, I will help you deal with it. Tianyun said in a deep voice. Your main mission now is to liberate more slaves and let them join your camp. Follow me and destroy all the evil spirit race S in this area. Can you do it? This servant can do it. Yuming shouted sternly. All right, this is the equipment I bestowed upon you. Following that, Tianyun took out a set of high-grade reincarnation-level equipment and gave it to her. These were all dropped from killing the Lord of Heaven, and there were quite a few of them. Thank you, Master. Yuming did not decline. Without a good weapon, it would be difficult to suppress the evil spirit race. I will send some helpers over later to let you guys get to know each other first. Tianyun stretched out his hand and the Star Overlord appeared in front of everyone. Its golden body looked extremely conspicuous. They widened their eyes, seeing that they had never seen the Star Overlord before. They did not know what kind of demon beast it was. It is your companion. Later on, it will attract more similar companions and help you guys. Don't mistake it for an enemy. Tianyun reached out and rubbed its small head as he looked at them and said, Yes. They shouted in unison. They had long been trained by Yuming, and with the addition of the slave oath, they were absolutely obedient. Begin. Tianyun waved his hand, and Yuming quickly turned around and led everyone towards Evil Moon City. They were about to start a crazy killing operation. Following that, Tianyun looked at the Star Overlord. This little fellow even waved excitedly. It knew what was going on and felt that it had something to do, so it was naturally very excited. Tianyun has already communicated with it, and it said that it can summon Star Sea Demon, but its cultivation level will be relatively low, basically not too high, at most Star Monarch level. This area was too remote, and it was already good enough to attract Starry Sea Demons. It would be too difficult to attract high-level existences. This area was too, and it would of. Since it was, it would be it. Tianyun put his hand on Star Sea Demon's forehead, and a surge of EXP flowed into its brain. Soon, it easily reached the 6th refinement Earth Monarch level, and the heavenly tribulation appeared in the sky. This was the heavenly tribulation of the 6 refinements Earth Monarch level. It shouted excitedly. It hadn't been able to break through easily, so it was naturally very happy that it could. The main thing was that Tianyun had isolated the of experience, and he didn't dare to release it in the divine domain. If it was seen, it would be troublesome. Now it was different, and it could pass the heavenly tribulation at will. Soon, the heavenly tribulation of the demon appeared. It was different from the heavenly tribulation of cultivators, and it was filled with a surge of power. When the Star Overlord saw it, it screamed and charged towards the tribulation cloud. A golden light streaked across the void, and it tore this overbearing heavenly tribulation apart. It was easily broken without any difficulty. It was as domineering as before, and it used its own power to disperse the heavenly tribulation. Along with the energy of the heavenly tribulation, it bathed in it and felt very refreshed. Continue. Tianyun reached out and pressed on the head of the Star Overlord, and another wave of experience flowed in. He needed a lot of experience now, but the Star Overlord needed less. The accumulated experience was enough to raise it by several levels, and there was no problem. Kaboom! Soon, the heavenly tribulation attacked again, and it was very excited. It shouted at Tianyun gratefully, and it charged forward again, tearing the heavenly tribulation apart. As a god-level demon, it was very difficult for it to break through. Now that it followed Tianyun, it easily broke through. It was really easy. How could it not be grateful? Tianyun didn't stop. He continued to let it break through another level, and only stopped when it reached the 8 refinements of the Earth Lord. It wasn't that it lacked experience, but it needed a break. Squeak, 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 squeak. The Star Overlord called out to Tianyun. His cultivation was very high, but he still couldn't speak, but he could transmit his voice to Tianyun. What? You said that you can summon a stronger Star Sea Demon? When Tianyun heard that, his eyes lit up. Without a doubt, after his cultivation increased, he could summon a stronger existence. Not long later, Star Sea Demons flew over from the surroundings. They were all 2nd or 3rd layer Star Venerates, with the highest being 7th or 8th layer Star Venerate. Previously, it could only summon 1st or 2nd layer Star Venerate. As its cultivation increased, it could summon even stronger ones. The most important thing was that it could summon even farther. After all, in the deity domain, it could summon Earth Venerates. There was no pressure at all. Attack! Tianyun did not delay. He immediately led the Star Overlord over in a frenzy. Behind him were groups of Star Sea Demons, densely packed together. It was unknown where they came from. Unexpectedly, there were so many Star Sea Demons in this Fanyu. There were not as many as in the deity domain, but there were at least 1,000 of them. This was already a horrifying force. Following that, the densely packed Star Sea Demons charged down and started a frenzied massacre everywhere in Evil Moon City. Ding! Killed an evil spirit race member, 2nd layer Star Venerate. Obtained experience. Ding! Killed an evil spirit race member, 1st layer Star Venerate. Obtained experience. Ding! Successfully saved a slave, 1st layer Star Venerate. Obtained experience. Ding! Success. Before Xiao Chen charged down, he already heard notifications continuously popping up. There was not much experience, only a few 100 million. If converted to compressed points, it would be a few thousandths of a point at most. That was pitifully little. The main thing was that the experience Yu Ming obtained from killing was only a few times more. Furthermore, his cultivation was so low. How could it be that much? However, it was a little surprising that Xiao Chen could obtain experience from saving people. More importantly, he obtained a lot of materials from killing. When Ming Yu kills enemies, he can still obtain materials. This already makes him very satisfied. Chapter 1202. Kill, kill, kill. Yu Ming's eyes were bloodshot. The weapon in his hand was like the scythe of a death god, continuously harvesting the lives of the evil spirit race. The rest of the slaves were the same, their eyes were bloodshot. They would never forget the damage the evil spirit race had done to them. Whether it was to himself, his family, or his friends, they would all cause irreparable harm. Therefore, when Yu Ming revealed his plan, each and every one of them was boiling with excitement. Even the Demon Fox Clan's twins and the like were thoroughly angered. Even if their battle prowess was not strong, they were willing to give it their all. Even if they died, they would kill a few evil spirit races. However, the reality was not as difficult as he had imagined. As the Earth Monarchs had basically been eliminated by Yi Tianyun, the remaining ones were at most at the Star Monarch level. In addition, they continued to kill the evil spirit race, and more slaves joined in, making them stronger and stronger. This was a place with more slaves than the evil spirit race. Once all the slaves were liberated and a large-scale attack was launched, it would be difficult for these evil spirit races to resist. A group of lowly life forms actually dared to resist. Go and die. At this time, a third refinement Earth Monarch evil spirit race appeared out of nowhere. He angrily waved his gigantic sword and heavily slashed down from the sky. The tyrannical sword light illuminated the entire area. Yu Ming's gaze turned cold. Just as he was about to fight to the death, a figure had already charged over. A cold light streaked across the sky, and following that, the evil spirit race was cut into two. Master! When Yu Ming saw that it was Yi Tianyun, he was overjoyed. I've said it before, leave these guys to me. Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently. He was very satisfied with Yu Ming. Yu Ming led the slaves to continuously slaughter the evil spirit race, and it was very orderly. Every region had its own arrangements, and Yu Ming's orders could be said to be fast, accurate, and ruthless. There was basically no need to consider anything. The truth proved that he had been overthinking. He had thought that Yu Ming would not be easy to lead, but in reality, it had far exceeded his imagination. This was completely her strength. Due to her own ability, these slaves who joined her were especially loyal. This was the benefit of having a high commander value. You could command more subordinates. It was just that after the commander's subordinates killed the evil spirit race, they received even less experience. Fortunately, there was still some. It was better than nothing. Immediately after, Yi Tianyun continued to fly to other places to check if there were any fish that slipped through the net. As long as an Earth Monarch appeared, he would immediately reinforce them with his fastest speed and kill them. During this period of time, many Earth Monarchs were killed by him. Basically, there were not many Earth Monarchs left in the evil Moon City. However, there was one super expert who did not appear, and that was the evil Moon City's city lord. After killing so many evil spirit races, they still hadn't appeared. They were either cultivating in seclusion, or they couldn't be bothered with them. Yi Tianyun temporarily ignored the city lord and continued to exterminate the Earth Monarch or the evil spirit race with a stronger cultivation. Among them, the Star Overlord was even more tyrannical. He controlled a group of Star Sea demons and charged forward with a sweeping momentum. Wherever he went, not a single blade of grass would grow. When these Star Sea demons fought, they could easily tear the evil spirit race, who had a strong physique, into pieces. However, as the number of slaves increased, the speed at which they were killed would increase by a lot, to the point that they would be much faster than the Star Sea demons. After all, there were more slaves, and if they weren't strong enough, they would just have to make up for it with numbers. At the same time, inside demonic Moon City, there was a thick shield that wrapped around the outside. The main city of demonic Moon City was tightly encircled. Many of the evil spirit races inside were already in a state of panic. Many of the experts that they had sent out had never returned. Especially from here, one could see that the outside was covered in blood. More and more slaves had joined the battle, and it could be said that the entire evil Moon City had been turned upside down. Hurry up and ask for reinforcements. Go and get Yellow Heaven City to send all the experts over to support us. If this continues, the evil Moon City will be finished. The evil spirit races who were guarding the main city wiped off their cold sweat. Seeing the situation outside, their hearts sank to the bottom. The guards immediately went to ask for reinforcements. Who would have thought that the impregnable evil Moon City, where no one had dared to casually attack the evil spirit race's forces, would be sent flying today? Lord Venter, is the city lord still not out of seclusion? The guard asked anxiously. If the city lord comes out of seclusion, would it be their turn to be so arrogant? Lord Venter said angrily, right now we have to defend the main city to the death. We must not let them attack, or else they will disturb the city lord's cultivation. The city lord is at a critical moment right now. He is preparing to break through to the 9th floor of the Lord of Heaven. Once he comes out, any intruder will die. While they were defending the main city, the outside world had already been completely turned upside down, and groups of evil spirit races had been exterminated. Before long, the outside of the evil Moon City had already become Dead Moon City. Tianyun brought a group of people and charged towards the main city. The group of slaves behind him completely obeyed Yu Ming's orders, and Yu Ming obeyed Tianyun's orders. They surrounded the main city so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Master, this is the main city. I heard that the city lord is in closed-door cultivation and won't be able to come out for a while. It's just that we're unable to break through the main city's barrier. Yu Ming explained from the side. The main city's barrier. Tianyun looked at the sturdy barrier and smiled. It's normal for you to be unable to break through it. Without the Lord of Heaven, it would be difficult for you to break through this barrier. Then let me break it. Let's see when the city lord will roll out of the turtle hole. When Lord Venter saw Tianyun rushing over, he quickly sized him up. Humph! A trash earth monarch dares to break our main city's barrier? Even a 3rd or 4th level Lord of Heaven might not be able to break through it, let alone a mere earth monarch. They had absolute confidence in this barrier. Those below the Lord of Heaven would definitely not be able to break through it. Tianyun laughed loudly and rushed over. He stretched out his hand and lightly tapped on the barrier. With a dong sound, the sturdy barrier trembled slightly, but it didn't shatter. Lord Venter and the others were stunned for a moment before they laughed loudly. I already said that he wouldn't be able to break through it. With this level of cultivation, go back and cultivate for a few hundred years. Before he finished his sentence, there was a crack sound. Following that, dense cracks started to spread from the place where Tianyun attacked. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a dense spider web and spread out in all directions. Bang! Chapter 1203. The indestructible legend was shattered by a human earth monarch just like that. Venerable was dumbfounded. Their mockery turned into shock. Not only them, even the slaves looked at Tianyun in disbelief. He actually broke the main city's barrier. They had been slaves here for many years. How could they not know the situation here? Without a powerful cultivation, it was impossible to break this barrier. Now that it was broken so easily, they were dumbfounded and felt that it was unbelievable. Only Yu Ming faintly smiled. Everything was within her expectations. As far as she was concerned, her master was a god. This barrier could be easily shattered. There was no pressure at all. This is impossible. How can such a sturdy barrier be broken? Venerable was in disbelief, especially since Yi Tianyun was only an earth monarch. How could he be so terrifying? This was the barrier that they were so proud of. It was impossible to break it so easily. But the truth was that it was easily broken. Following that, he saw a cold light piercing through the sky. Then, his consciousness completely disappeared. Everything he felt disappeared. Bang! The area where Venerable was turned into a blood mist, and Yi Tianyun appeared at the side. He killed Venerable with a single spear strike. He did not waste any time talking nonsense. Kill! Yi Tianyun waved his spear and pointed forward. The last main city was here. As long as he took over this main city, the evil moon city would be conquered. Perhaps this was just one of the cities of the evil spirit race, but it represented the first step of suppressing the evil spirit race. The other celestial domain forces did not dare to come close, so he would take the first step. He would let the other forces know that there were still people who would choose to resist. Who dares to barge into my territory? Accompanied by an angry roar, a huge figure flew out from the main city. The huge wings on his back spread out, and the 16 arms on his back symbolized absolute power. This was the most evil spirit race Yi Tianyun had ever seen, and it was even more than the last time he saw one. It seemed that as his cultivation continued to increase, he could continue to grow and would not stop. Without a doubt, he was the city governor of Demonic Moon City, City Governor Ling Hun. Now that he had successfully broken through to the 9th layer of the Lord of Heaven, he was considered one of the best in Fanyu. As soon as he appeared, the power of the Lord of Heaven was completely released, covering the sky and covering the earth. Groups of slaves were terrified, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers were frightened by this aura and continuously retreated. Just his aura alone was enough to scare them away. This was the difference in cultivation. It couldn't be made up for with numbers. Just a look was enough to scare them out of their wits. This was not surprising. With the cultivation of the Lord of Heaven at the 9th layer, crushing them was as easy as drinking water. He was not afraid of numbers. He could kill them all with a flip of his hand. City Lord, the City Lord has come out? The guards were all extremely excited. Seeing the City Lord come out meant that everything had been resolved. After City Master Cold Soul came out, he looked around coldly and became even angrier. A bunch of trash, they can't even suppress this little thing. If this news gets out, I'll lose face as a City Lord. He saw groups of slaves being liberated and many evil spirits being killed outside, but he didn't feel sorry at all. Losers were trash, and trash didn't need sympathy. What made him most angry was that Demonic Moon City was in a mess, which meant that he didn't do his job well. If the God Realm blamed him, he would lose his position as the City Lord. Then he turned to look at Yi Tianyun and sized him up. No matter how hard he looked, he couldn't find anything wrong. Strange, I can't see through your cultivation? City Master Cold Soul's eyes darkened. He didn't expect that there was someone he couldn't see through. He could only feel that it was the cultivation of an Earth Lord. But for him, this was enough. It seems that you led the slaves to rebel and got rid of that pile of trash. I have to say that you're quite capable. City Master Cold Soul said sternly, but it ends here. Today, all of you will die, no one will be left alive. He was completely infuriated. He didn't plan to leave anyone alive. It didn't matter if the slaves died, but the traitors had to die. They didn't even have the value to continue being slaves. The slaves felt a chill in their hearts. Some of them turned around and wanted to escape. They were completely scared out of their wits by City Master Cold Soul. They were already scared out of their wits after just a few words. Calm down. Yuming snorted, and his voice spread in all directions. The flustered slaves immediately calmed down, and their eyes were filled with fanaticism. They couldn't retreat even if they died. Oh, interesting. You can actually keep them calm. It seems that you're the mastermind behind the chaos in demonic Moon City, right? Then I'll start with you. City Master Cold Soul stretched out his hand, and a huge palm appeared in the void and pressed down on Yuming. He saw that Yuming had the ability to lead, so he mistakenly thought that Yuming was the real leader. A high cultivation didn't mean that he was the leader. He might have some other identity. Therefore, he decided to kill Yuming first, to catch the leader first. When the huge palm came down, a cold light streaked across the sky and tore the huge palm in half. It was as easy as tearing a piece of paper. Didn't you start with me? With the help of the title, he didn't even need to use crazy damage mode to increase his damage by 15 times. He didn't feel any pressure breaking the opponent's attack. City Master Cold Soul's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect his attack to be broken so easily. Not bad. I'd like to see if you can overturn this place. City Master Cold Soul roared and reached out his hand to cover Yi Tianyun. His 16 arms kept forming hand seals in the air, and 16 huge palms appeared in the air, wrapping around Yi Tianyun. Each of the huge palms was like a mountain, and there were 16 huge palms in total. It was so overwhelming that there wasn't even a place to escape. Suppress him. Yi Tianyun snorted and released the power of the title. City Master Cold Soul's body shook violently, and he felt his power weakening rapidly. His strength dropped from level 9 of Lord of Heaven to level 5 of Lord of Heaven. His power was weakened by half. What's going on? City Master Cold Soul panicked. His attack power was reduced by half, and his huge palms shrunk to a small hill. They didn't even look like they were on the same level. Oh, it seems like it's a high-level Earth Monarch breakthrough. The weakening effect is a little weak. Yi Tianyun smiled. If others knew what he was thinking, they would vomit blood. Chapter 1204. The City Lord of Cold Soul City was shocked by this move. His strength was suppressed in all aspects. The feeling of supremacy was instantly suppressed, and he felt a deep sense of helplessness. Facing the weakened City Lord of Cold Soul City, Yi Tianyun waved his hand, and the surrounding attacks were immediately cut into countless pieces by his spear. It could be said to be extremely fragile. Such an invincible attack was so weak in front of him. The slaves who were extremely terrified were stunned when they saw the City Lord of Cold Soul City being suppressed. The invincible City Lord of Cold Soul City was so weak in front of a human? Or rather, their new master was so powerful that even the City Lord of Cold Soul City could not do anything to him. Actually, this was the effect that Yi Tianyun wanted. He wanted to stabilize the army's morale, and not make them extremely terrified of the City Lord of Cold Soul City. He wanted to let them know that the City Lord of Cold Soul City was not invincible, but he was. With so many cultivators, he still needed Yuming to lead them to attack the other evil spirit race forces. After all, they all had one thing in common. They were tortured by the evil spirit race and hated each other deeply. If they fought like this, their morale would definitely be high, and their combat strength would far exceed their usual state. Especially when they liberated the slaves again and saw that they were all the same kind, it would be easier for them to join in. As they grew stronger, they would have the main force to attack the evil spirit race. This is your strength? Yi Tianyun looked at the City Lord of Cold Soul City and said indifferently, so weak. Where's that arrogant aura just now? Why did it suddenly shrink? Men are so weak, it's really disgraceful. What kind of strength is this? What treasure did you use? The City Lord of Cold Soul City ignored Yi Tianyun's mockery. He was extremely shocked as he had never encountered such a situation. In his opinion, Yi Tianyun must have some treasure, otherwise, how could he suppress his strength? The other party was only an Earth Monarch. How could he suppress his strength? Treasure? Yi Tianyun sneered. You don't need to know that. As soon as he finished speaking, he brandished his spear and pierced it towards City Lord Linghun. This time, he was not defending passively, but actively attacking. After the long spear in his hand spun crazily, a bright moon appeared in the sky. Moon wheel spell. A bright moon appeared in Etienne's eyes, revolving in his eyes, radiating light in all directions. In an instant, the void was enveloped by the moonlight. After City Master Leng Hun was enveloped by the moonlight, he felt as though he was frozen in place, unable to move at all. Ta Heaven's Path martial art. City Lord Leng Hun immediately sensed what martial art Etienne had used, but it was too late. He could only hear a ringing sound. Buzz! A white light swept past his body. He opened his mouth slightly, wanting to shout something, but no matter how hard he shouted, he couldn't make a sound. Soon after, his body was gradually swallowed up by the white light and finally disappeared completely. Not even a speck of him was left. Ding successfully killed City Lord Leng Hun, obtained 13 compressed EXP, 7 compressed Crazy Point, 5 compressed SP, obtained Evil Spirit's Soul, Evil Spirit's Blood, Evil Spirit's Bone, Lord of Heaven level, Evil Spirit Races Map, rare, Evil Spirit Wheel, rare. Killing City Lord Leng Hun gave him a bunch of things, including the Evil Spirit Races map, which made him very interested. It was a detailed map of the evil spirit races distribution. It even marked the name of the city lord, and the distribution of the major forces. Compared to the information given by the Moon Spirit Pavilion, it was much more detailed. The two were not on the same level. It's not that Moon Spirit Pavilion is too weak, but it's difficult to infiltrate into this place. It's impossible to bribe the evil spirit race. If the evil spirit race is too strong, they won't betray their own forces. Therefore, it's already very good that Moon Spirit Pavilion could find such detailed information. Obtaining the evil spirit races map was equivalent to filling in a lot of gap. Evil Spirit Wheel, what is this? Etienne looked at the evil spirit wheel carefully and realized that it was similar to a tracking device. As long as it was selected, it would immediately know where it was. This was suitable for finding the main evil spirit race experts and achieving the effect of capturing the leader first. This caused his eyes to light up. Even if it wasn't the evil spirit race, he could still use it. This meant that whoever he wanted to find, he could use this wheel to guide him. However, this was similar to the soul guidance from a long time ago, but the soul guidance was for missions. If it wasn't in the mission list, then it wouldn't be able to be used. The evil spirit wheel was different. As long as it was a target, it could lock onto them and quickly find them. This could be said to be an absolute divine tool. As long as the target was locked onto, he could quickly find them. Naturally, it was a divine tool. This way, he didn't need to search for any information. He could just read out their names and they would automatically lock onto their target. Of course, the prerequisite was that they didn't have the same name. If they had the same name, there was a simpler and crude method, and that was to have their clothes or blood, which could be immediately locked onto. He was just like a dog, easily finding their location. Divine tool. Etienne's eyes lit up. Although he didn't need to find anyone for the time being, it was better than nothing. He didn't expect to get such a thing after killing Leng Hun City Lord. It was a pleasant surprise. Leng Hun City Lord has been killed. At this moment, the evil spirit race in the city were all stunned. Their most invincible existence was killed in an instant. It's an absolute instant kill, a one-hit kill. Everyone can see that Etienne deliberately held back before. It's not a one-hit kill. Now that he had made his move, it was an absolute instant kill, an instant kill. Flatten the main city. At this moment, Etienne stretched out his hand and pointed, waking the dumbfounded people up. They immediately started shouting crazily. Kill, flatten this main city. Kill all these bastards, kill all these enemies. Kill! They all rushed towards the main city with tears in their eyes. They didn't even need Yu Ming to lead them. They rushed forward like crazy. The place that they had always been afraid of, the place that they were afraid of, was now going to be destroyed by them. At least they could take revenge for their friends and family. Soon, the guards in the main city were quickly overwhelmed, and they couldn't resist at all. With Tianyun beside them, how could they resist? They were easily killed, and their deaths were very tragic. The main city was trampled crazily. No matter what it was smashed by them. They really wanted to flatten it, not keep it. However, even if they flattened this place, their anger did not disappear. Chapter 1205. The evil Moon City was quickly flattened. The originally luxurious main city was turned into ruins just like that. They didn't take anything, they just crazily destroyed everything, wishing that they could destroy every corner of the city. Even Yu Ming had joined the ranks, crazily destroying everything. Tianyun stayed by the side and watched as they continued to destroy. He had no intention of stopping them. From this, it could be seen how much damage these people had suffered from the evil spirit race. This made them extremely crazy. Even the originally weak races were now like strong men, able to erupt with astonishing power that exceeded their previous limits. The evil spirit race has really done too many unjust things. Tianyun's gaze turned cold, and he immediately turned and flew into the depths of the main city. In the depths of the main city, there was a dark core. It should be said that there were several in this area. It was just a matter of size. He flew over one by one and took them away. He easily took away these cores without any difficulty. The other cultivators still needed to use spirit ships to drag them away. If they wanted to truly take them away easily, they would need to be at least at the Sky Sovereign level. As for cultivators below the Divine Lord level, they could only use the stupidest method, which was to use the heavenly energy to drag them away. This method was the most efficient, but he could only do so. Fortunately, he had an inventory. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take it away so easily. He could only watch helplessly as he stayed here. Who knew how long it would take for him to drag it away? After taking it away, he immediately told them to quickly leave. They couldn't stay in this area any longer. He believed that the evil spirit race would come to support them soon. If they continued to stay here, they would have to engage in a fierce battle. After giving the order to retreat, they quickly retreated, running as far as they could. After they left for a period of time, reinforcements arrived very quickly. A huge spirit ship quickly flew over, and several figures descended from it. They were all experts of the evil spirit race. The strongest were at the Lord of Heaven level, and the weakest were at the Earth Lord level. When they came down and saw the scene in front of them, they were all stunned. The evil Moon City had been reduced to ruins, but this was not the main point. The main point was that there was no core energy at all. This was what shocked them even more. If evil Moon City was gone, it could be easily rebuilt. But if the core was gone, how could it be rebuilt? The core was the key to maintaining the cultivation environment here. Without the core, this place would be no different from other Fanyu places. If there was no difference, then it would not be able to become a main city. In fact, it would not even have the qualifications to become a city. The core is gone. What happened? The Lord of Heaven's eyes were filled with disbelief. He really couldn't think of anyone who could move the core so quickly. This was Fanyu, not God domain. It was normal for a god's domain to be easily transferred. But this was Fanyu. How could the celestial master appear here? However, the truth was right before their eyes. The cores were gone. Not a single one was left. All that was left was a pile of rubble. Other than that, he could smell the thick stench of blood. There were countless corpses here. There were cultivators, and there were evil spirit races. Everything was so tragic. To them, the most important thing was where the core was. My lord, it seems like we have to quickly report to God domain. This is too strange. The powerhouse next to him suggested. Yes, we rushed over very quickly. Moving the core in a few days? This is simply impossible. Unless one's cultivation is at the level of a celestial master, it is impossible to be so fast. But why did a celestial master come to a small place like ours? Why would they take a fancy to a small corps like ours? They were really puzzled. The corps were divided into grades. Their grade was ordinary, so it was impossible for a celestial master to take a fancy to them, especially since they were related to a fourth-grade god domain. Why would an ordinary celestial master come to make things difficult for them? Unless they wanted to give them a good reward. Just as they were feeling very puzzled and were about to inform the powerhouses of God Domain, a figure appeared beside them. Let me tell you, I was the one who took it. Tianyun smiled and said, so there's no need to guess anymore. I was the one who took it. When Tianyun suddenly appeared beside them, they were all shocked. They looked him up and down as if they had seen a ghost. Human? They were shocked. How could a human have such strength? Just as they were about to ask a few more questions, Tianyun had already disappeared from where he was. In the next moment, Tianyun appeared beside them and smashed the Lord of Heaven powerhouse with a palm. Then, he kicked the other two Earth monarchs to death. When there was only one left, he glared at him and exchanged glances with him. The other party's gaze quickly became dull, and he was quickly charmed by Tianyun. He was no different from a puppet. Since the eyes of enchantment had been upgraded, there was no pressure to charm the Earth monarch at all. You want to report to God Domain? Tianyun sneered. Wait until I destroy all the forces here first. Then, he looked at the puppet-like evil spirit race Earth monarch beside him and quickly flew towards Yellow Sky City. In the Fanyu region, there were a total of 2 largest regions, and the rest were small regions. Therefore, as long as these 2 main cities were suppressed, the Fanyu region would basically be breached. Yu Ming, settle them down and only select the strongest to go. As for the rest who don't have much combat power, don't bring them. When Tianyun flew over with the evil spirit race Earth monarch, he said to the meteorite at the side. At this moment, Yu Ming popped her head out of the meteorite. When she saw the evil spirit race Earth monarch beside Tianyun, she was a little surprised. She didn't know how Tianyun subdued him. He looked like a puppet and just stayed at the side. Yes, master. Yu Ming said. After settling them down, bring them to Yellow Sky City and prepare to attack at any time. Yellow Sky City is bigger than Evil Moon City. Do you have the confidence to complete this battle? Tianyun looked at her and said sternly, Yes. Yu Ming half knelt on the rock and said in a deep voice, This servant will definitely destroy Yellow Sky City. If I can't destroy Yellow Sky City, this servant will bring my head to see you. Alright, then I'll go to Yellow Sky City to check on the situation now. I'll leave the rest to you. Tianyun was like a hands-off shopkeeper, handing the rest of the preparation work to Yu Ming. Chapter 1206. After Tianyun gave his instructions, he quickly flew to Yellow Sky City. Yu Ming quickly started to make arrangements for the old, weak, and sick, so that they could leave this place quickly. While the other forces of the evil spirit race had not discovered the situation here, he quickly made arrangements to prevent anything from happening. After a period of travel, Tianyun soon arrived at Yellow Sky City. Yellow Sky City was the same as Demonic Moon City. There were many dark cores embedded here, and it was more prosperous than Demonic Moon City. There were 2 important main cities in Fanyu. Demonic Moon City was one, and Yellow Sky City was the other. The other small cities were temporarily ignored. His main goal now was to take down the 2 main cities. After liberating enough slaves, he could hand them over to Yu Ming to clean up. As for the experts, there was no need to worry at all. Fanyu was still Fanyu. The evil spirit race could not send many experts to guard it. Unless a strong enemy attacked, they would not send any expert. The strongest here was the Lord of Heaven. Normally, the Lord of Heaven would gather in these 2 main cities. As long as the 2 main cities were destroyed, everything would be easy. It could be said that most of the Lord of Heaven stayed in the two main cities. After being destroyed, it would naturally be easy to clean them up. Reporting, City Lord Aite, the reinforcements we sent have returned. However, only 2 of them have returned. They have urgent matters to report. In the main city of Yellow Sky City, everyone, including the City Lord, was the same as usual. When they suddenly received the rescue signal, they immediately sent people over. During this period of time, they were all very confused. Was there really an enemy attack? Who was this arrogant person who dared to cause trouble for them? Now that the people they had sent out had returned, City Lord Aite hurriedly said, "Hurry up and let them in. Tell me what's going on." Soon, 2 figures came in from outside. One of them was naturally Tianyun, and the other was the puppet that was being controlled. He had easily snuck in. This was the effect he wanted. He did not even need to sneak in. Instead, he swaggered in. It was much faster than before. "Only the 2 of you are left?" City Lord Auntie looked at them and frowned. "Yes, only the 2 of us are left, and the situation is very serious. City Lord, please gather all the generals here for a discussion. There's something urgent to discuss." The Earth Lord at the side had a solemn expression, as though there was really an emergency. This was all done under Tianyun's orders. City Lord 8 nodded and said, "All right, I'll gather them now." He was not suspicious. After all, this was a very serious matter. Let the other generals come over to discuss this matter. This way they could immediately start the discussion and the subsequent discussions. Very soon, City Lord Auntie went to summon the various generals, as well as the various leaders. There was no need to doubt this. After all, they were on the same side. What could they doubt? This was the reason why Tianyun left one of them alive. After being charmed, he could control her and say whatever he wanted. At that time, he could use it as a cover to avoid being suspected. Now was the best proof that everything was going according to his plan. Once they gathered all the generals, they would be able to capture all of them in one fell swoop. After eliminating all the experts of Yellow Sky City, everything would be easy. Next, it would be up to Yu Ming's performance. Under City Lord Auntie's summons, the other generals hurried over, causing the originally empty palace to become lively all of a sudden. There were dozens of experts present. Among them, there were more than 10 Lord of Heaven, and the rest were all Earth Lords. However, their levels were relatively low. They were all at the 4th or 5th level. Actually, it was not that their talent was not good, but the difficulty of the evil spirit race's tribulation was too high. It was already quite shocking to be able to reach the 4th or 5th level. Only a few dozen. Tianyun felt that this was not a very good number. If there were more, it would undoubtedly be more ideal. Along the way, he had investigated the situation in Yellow Sky City. There were at least a few hundred experts above the Earth Lord level, far more than in Evil Moon City. Yellow Sky City was bigger than Evil Moon City, so it was not surprising that there were so many experts. Now that only a portion of them had come, it should be because their status was higher, so naturally, only they had come. If they had all come, it would have been a mess. The evil spirit race had a very clear hierarchy. If they could not reach it, they would not have more power. After the evil spirit race came over, they were all very confused. They did not know what was going on. City Lord Auntie had suddenly summoned them, and they did not know what was going on. Looks like everyone is here. Something serious has happened in Evil Moon City. Previously, Evil Moon City sent a signal asking for reinforcements. We sent Wild Soul Divine General over, but he did not return this time. City Lord Auntie said with a serious expression. Just as he said this, it immediately caused a huge uproar among the evil spirit race. They were all shocked by this news. Wild Soul Divine General was an expert at the level of the Lord of Heaven. How could he be gone just like that? City Lord Auntie, what is going on? The other evil spirit race immediately sensed an uneasy aura. We'll have to ask the 2 survivors who have returned. City Lord Anti looked towards Tianyun. The other evil spirit race all looked over, wanting to hear what they had to say. Let me say it. Tianyun smiled and walked out. He looked at them and said, City Lord Anti, are all the generals here? City Lord Anti looked at him in confusion. Although he felt that he was very unfamiliar, he did not suspect anything. After all, no matter how he looked at it, he was from the evil spirit race. Naturally, he would not think that he was a fake. Not all of them are here, but most of them are here. Some have gone out and have not returned yet. You should have followed them out of Evil Moon City, right? Just tell us now. Tell us what force dares to be so bold. City Lord Anti's gaze was extremely cold. It was like a sharp blade, ready to head to Evil Moon City to take revenge at any time. Tianyun glanced at the evil spirit race and smiled. This force is... All of them leaned over and listened carefully to which force wanted them to take revenge. From their point of view, as long as it was a force that was hostile to them, no matter what force it was, they would be flattened one by one. Buzz. A round of moonlight flickered beside their necks, followed by the sound of blood mist exploding. One by one, the generals were turned into blood mist by this round of moonlight. Almost in an instant, half of them were easily killed. Before the evil spirit race could understand what was going on, half of their companions had already died. Human race? City Lord Anti quickly reacted. He saw a figure in the cold light. It was the figure of a human. Chapter 1207. How a human barged in was no longer important. The most important thing was to stop this human expert. Stop him. City Lord Aite roared and unleashed all his power. However, his cultivation was not particularly shocking. It was only at the 9th level of the Lord of Heaven, similar to that of City Lord Linghun. Actually, the cultivation of these city lords was similar. Originally, a late-stage Lord of Heaven in Fan Yu was already able to control the situation. Any higher and it would be a huge waste. It should be said that a Lord of Heaven was already a waste in Fan Yu. With an Earth Lord presiding over the situation, there was basically no pressure. Most of the forces in Fan Yu were at the Star Lord level, and it could even be said that there were very few Star Lords. Sending an Earth Lord was already enough to crush all the forces in Fan Yu. The reason why they still had Heavenly Lords guarding this place was for the sake of safety. It could make these forces more stable, and also to have a City Lord with a strong cultivation to control their forces. If there was a powerful leader, they would be very united. If there was no powerful leader, it would be very easy for them to become a pile of loose sand. How could they manage if everyone refused to submit to each other? Suppress. At this instant, the 10 chains in Tianyun's body were released, forming a dense iron net behind him. The extreme heavenly Tao shackles were like existences that suppressed all heavenly Tao energy. Once the 10 refinement shackles appeared, all heavenly Tao experts below the 10th refinement would be suppressed. Earth Lord 10 refinement? They were instantly stunned. An existence that exceeded their understanding. Looking at the twisting shackles in the void, a sense of helplessness descended, making them unable to breathe. All the Earth Lords were like children, unable to move at all. An existence at the level of the Lord of Heaven was directly weakened by more than half. Be it cultivators or the evil spirit race, they were still using the heavenly Tao energy. As long as they had the heavenly Tao energy, those who were inferior to Tianyun would all be suppressed. The most terrifying ones would be directly weakened by 1000%, and the weakest would be weakened by 100%. This kind of basic cultivation was equivalent to being cut in half. Even if it was a Lord of Heaven level 9, it would at most be at the 5th level. Die. Tianyun used the full moon mantra again, and a bright moon appeared in the sky. This was one of the ultimate techniques of the vast sky sovereign. A power that seemed to be able to control time froze their spacetime. In reality, it was freezing them and slowing down their movements. He did this so that they wouldn't be able to escape so that he could kill them. Although he could charm those evil spirit races to counterattack, killing them would not give him any experience. Bang, 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 a bright moon was reflected in their eyes, and then they lost all consciousness. In the end, all of them were pierced through and exploded, turning into a mist of blood. 10 refinement Earth monarchs crushing them was as easy as drinking water. No. City Lord Etna roared in anger and rushed forward to intercept him. But how could his current power compare to Yi Tianyun's? Bang! Yi Tianyun swung his spear, smashing City Lord 8 to the ground. He didn't kill him in one shot. What? Are you sad about the death of your companion? Or do you think you lost and feel sad? Yi Tianyun nailed his spear to his body and said coldly, "Why didn't you feel this way when you went to trample other planets, capture them as slaves, and kill their families? Winner takes all." "I admit it." City Lord 8 gritted his teeth. "But so what if you're a 10 refinement Earth monarch? Our king is much stronger than you. You humans will still become our slaves in the end." "Oh, I don't know how strong your king is, but no matter how strong he is, I'll surpass him." Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. His clothes fluttered because of his aura. "No matter who it is, there will be no exceptions." City Lord 8 laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke. "You can surpass a heavenly sovereign? Are you worthy?" "Heavenly sovereign?" Yi Tianyun smiled disdainfully. "That's just the beginning. What's there to be proud of? Trash." Before City Lord 8 could retort, the tip of his spear had already slashed forward. City Lord 8 died under his spear, turning into a large pile of experience and materials. He did not stop and continued to kill the evil spirit race members who were running away. They were all killed by him before they could escape the gate. The ground was covered in blood. The only ones left standing were the 2 evil spirit race members he had controlled earlier. In order to prevent the evil spirit race members from escaping, he deliberately charmed one more. It was very easy to sneak attack from the side, and he would not be detected at all, especially those who were being sneak attacked. They never thought that they would be sneak attacked by their companions. However, they would never know. This doubt made them die with grievances. "Finally, it's your turn." Yi Tianyun came in front of them and flicked his finger. They immediately woke up and looked at him in fear. What kind of evil magic is this?" They screamed, their eyes filled with fear. They were instructed to attack their companions at will. One could imagine how they felt. The feeling of not being able to control it was what terrified them the most. Demonic arts? A group of demons talking about demonic arts? Yi Tianyun laughed. "Even if my methods are very cruel, they are not even 1/10 of yours." Then, he relaxed a little, and the 2 of them were directly blasted into a mist of blood. He did not do too many cruel things, and settled them all in one move. He could not be bothered to waste any more time. All of them have been cleaned up, but there are still some that have yet to be cleaned up. We can basically start now. Yi Tianyun's gaze turned cold. Holding on to his spear, he started to smash at the quasi-main city crazily, causing the berserk power to explode in all directions. A loud sound exploded in the main city, causing all the evil spirit races to jump up from the explosion, and all of them looked over. What's going on? What happened in the main city? All of them did not know what was going on and quickly flew over. Most of them were Earth monarchs. The main city was an important place. Whoever dared to cause trouble would be sentenced to death. At the same time that many evil spirit races flew over, Yu Ming, who was outside the Yellow Heaven City, saw the scene and her figure gradually disappeared. Very quickly, she reappeared in the air outside and said in a deep voice, "Is everyone ready?" Just as he finished speaking, figures started to appear from the pile of rocks at the side. They were all the slaves. "Ready!" they shouted in a stern voice. "All right, Master has already begun. According to this instruction, we are preparing to attack." The method of battle is no different from before. Kill as many slave masters as possible, then rescue more slaves to join us. Then, we will flatten the Yellow Heaven City. Yu Ming's gaze was ice-cold as he said, "We absolutely cannot fail in this battle. We must repay Master's kindness, and we must repay our hatred even more." "Yes, sir." Chapter 1208. Yi Tianyun's plan was to coordinate from within and without. Right now, he was crazily causing trouble, attracting the attention of all the evil spirit races, causing them to come over one after another and catch all the experts in one fell swoop. They might not be able to attract all the experts at the Earth Monarch realm and above, but they would be able to attract a portion of them. As long as they could kill as many experts at the Earth Monarch realm and above, they would be much easier to deal with. As expected, it quickly attracted many Earth Monarchs. When they saw that it was a human, they were shocked. Why were there humans making a ruckus there? Yi Tianyun's gaze turned cold, holding onto his spear. He transformed into a ray of cold light and rushed over. The group of evil spirit race S did not even have time to react. Their bodies were already frozen in the air. After a breath of time, they exploded in the air one after another, turning into clouds of bloody mist. They were dead beyond dead. Ding! Successfully killed the evil spirit race, second-level Earth Monarch. Obtained experience. Ding! Successfully killed the evil spirit race, first-level Earth Monarch. Obtained experience. Ding! Success. A stream of EXP flowed into his mind and became part of the data. When the evil spirit race saw this, they were so scared that they ran away. Such a heaven-defying human, how could they dare to stay here any longer? However, it was too late. The moment they entered Yi Tianyun's line of sight, they were destined to die. Yi Tianyun continuously swept over, treating these powerful evil spirit races as if they were chopping melons and vegetables. With a wave of his spear, a large group of them died. There was nothing to worry about here. All they had to do was attack fiercely. There were no other races nearby, so there was no need to worry about friendly fire. Instead of looking like he was killing the evil spirit race, it was more like he was demolishing a house. It could be said that this kind of scene had attracted all of the evil spirit race S in Yellow Heaven City, wanting to investigate from afar. While Yi Tianyun was going crazy, Yu Ming had already brought a large group of cultivators down. Many of the evil spirit race S had gathered towards the main city, and the guards had all gone over, causing the perimeter to not even have any guards, allowing them to easily sneak in. You guys, when the evil spirit race in the city saw Yu Ming leading a large army, they were all dumbfounded. Just as they wanted to escape and report the news, it was already too late. Yu Ming slashed her sword at the waist, cutting a few evil spirit races in half on the spot. After killing them, she waved her hand forward, her beautiful eyes revealing a sharp cold light. Kill! Flatten Yellow Sky City and leave no one alive. Kill! Their morale soared into the sky as they crazily reaped the harvest. As long as it was an evil spirit race, no matter what kind of race it was, they would be included in the kill list. For a time, the entire Yellow Sky City was filled with the stench of blood. They were carrying out a complete flattening operation. They didn't need any intact houses, they just needed to flatten everything. Yellow Sky City fell very quickly. There was nothing that could stop the invasion of this godly brave army. There was also an endless stream of slaves joining them. There was no need for too many words. After obtaining his freedom, he immediately joined the army and followed them to kill the evil spirit race. This was what they had in common. There was no racial discrimination. They were completely united as if they were all from the same race. It didn't take long for Yellow Sky City to be taken down. It was much easier than dealing with Evil Moon City. The main reason was that Yi Tianyun's plan had succeeded this time. Most of the experts had been killed by him, and with the addition of more and more slaves, the efficiency had increased by a lot. Very good. Etienne's gaze was ice-cold as he scanned his surroundings. Everything was under his control. The two main cities had been captured, and all that was left was to eliminate some small forces. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely shock most of the Divine Realm's forces. The evil spirit race, which so many Divine Realm forces did not dare to casually attack, had now fallen under Fan Yu's forces, and had even overthrown two main cities. How could they not be shocked? After seeing that everything could be settled, Etienne went to dig out the dark cores and stuff them into his inventory one by one. The quality of these cores was not high, but if he could take them away, he would definitely not waste them. Especially since these cores were treasures to nurture the evil spirit race. He would rather destroy them than leave a single piece for them. After basically destroying them, they quickly left like a gust of wind. Etienne did not know if there would be reinforcements, so in order to be careful, he let them retreat first. As for him, he did not have to worry at all. He could escape at will with a divine teleportation stone, so he did not have to worry about being surrounded. After they left, Etienne squatted nearby to see if there were any reinforcements. After waiting for a few days, a crack appeared in the void, and 3 figures walked out of it. Etienne took a closer look and saw that there were 3 divine lords. However, thinking about it, 2 main cities had fallen. If they continued to send inconspicuous experts over, it would be meaningless. After the 3 divine lords appeared, they looked around sharply. When they saw that the surroundings had been turned into ruins, their faces darkened. The cores are gone. To be able to drag away the cores in such a short time, could it be that there was an expert helping them? There was a hint of caution in their eyes. To be able to pull away the cores so quickly, their cultivation must not be low. That was an Empyrean-level existence. From the looks of it, this is no longer a small matter, but a very serious matter. The Divine Lord and the others had gloomy expressions. Hurry up and go back to report the matter here. Let our king decide. They did not continue to stay here. They did not even search for a moment before quickly leaving. After all, the 2 main cities had been destroyed and no one was here anymore. There was no need to continue searching. If there really was any expert helping them, they would be cannon fodder if they came here. It would be better to leave quickly and go back to report what had happened here. After they left, Etienne came out from the corner. Looking at their disappearing figures, he smiled and said, "It's about time we can proceed to the next step." From the looks of it, Yu Ming and the others needed to find a place to hide. He did not know what the evil spirit race's next move would be. In order to avoid any accidents, it was better to let them hide for now. Then, he quickly went to find Yu Ming. After explaining the general situation, he went to find a desolate planet with no signs of life around it. It's about time. Let's raise the evil spirit puppet's cultivation first. Then, we'll continue with the next plan. Cultivation was always the prerequisite to climbing up. If he wanted to go deep into the Divine Realm's inner forces, he had to raise his cultivation. One of the reasons he came here to massacre the city was to go deep into the inner regions. Without enough materials, there was no way to improve. Speaking of which, I can also break through to the Lord of Heaven. Chapter 1209. Although Etienne killed many Earth Lords and Lord of Heaven, giving him experience to break through, but thinking of the situation in the dream, he must be more cautious. Now he still needs a bit of crazy point to upgrade his abilities. He intends to upgrade his Dragon God bloodline and Phoenix bloodline first. He estimated that he still needs a lot of crazy point to upgrade. In addition to other aspects, such as weapons, also need to be strengthened. Although there is a Heavenly Tao level weapon in the Spoils of War, but it is not suitable for him. So he intends to collect a certain amount of materials, and then build a good weapon, and then use it with Heavenly Tao martial arts. In this way, even if it is a Lord of Heaven level Heavenly Tribulation, he can break it. Now what he needs to do is to let the puppet break through, and then go deep into the evil spirit race divine domain, not only to get revenge, but also to earn experience and crazy point. Now I need to improve the power of my physique. After Tianyun chose a cultivation place, he summoned the evil spirit puppet, and did not hesitate to exchange 2 dark spirit fruit, directly used up 16 points of compressed crazy point. After exchanging 2 dark spirit fruit, Tianyun picked up the dark spirit fruit and stuffed it into the mouth of the evil spirit puppet and let it eat it. After consuming it, an evil aura was released from the evil spirit puppet's body and engulfed Tianyun in one fell swoop. The area shrouded by the evil aura suddenly turned into a huge black space, sealing the area. This feeling is more like a black hole swallowing the energy around. Tianyun instantly teleported out, otherwise he would have a part of his energy extracted. He did not expect that the evil aura of the dark spirit fruit is not weak. After eating it, it has no effect on the body, but it has a great impact on the situation outside. The energy in the original planet was instantly drained, and the hard stones were turned into powder. This situation did not last long, and soon the energy quickly returned to the body of the evil spirit puppet. Soon after, the evil spirit puppet's body became incomparably black, as translucent as a black pearl. It looked much sturdier than before. From the original dark attribute physique, it was instantly upgraded to the dark saint physique. Regardless of whether it was his cultivation speed, strength, or physical defense, they had all been greatly improved. This effect was truly shocking. Even Tianyun was shocked, and even he wanted to use it. However, it was just a thought. His current physique was even more invincible, much stronger than this dark saint physique. After all, the body of a dark saint could only withstand the effects of the dark element, and he needed more than one constitution. Otherwise, it would reject the other attributes in his body, which was not what he wanted. Not bad again. Tianyun continued to stuff the last one in. After the evil spirit puppet ate it, the huge black hole appeared again and absorbed all the energy in the surroundings. After shrinking it again, the evil spirit puppet's physique was strengthened once more. However, the strengthening effect this time was limited. Compared to the first time, it was weakened by half. This was for sure. The original heaven-defying effect would not be as heaven-defying after taking it again. However, he was still very satisfied with this effect. It's about time. With such a huge improvement in physique, it will definitely be much easier to withstand the heaven's tribulation. Tianyun first bought the dark spirit fruit and used it on the evil spirit puppet, mainly to strengthen the puppet's physique again so that it could withstand the power of the heaven's tribulation. He couldn't help break through the heaven's tribulation and could only rely on the evil spirit puppet itself. Therefore, he could only strengthen the physique first so that the evil spirit puppet could withstand more heaven's tribulation. He didn't want the evil spirit puppet's cultivation to be unable to break through to the 7th or 8th refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. The higher the quality, the more valuable it would be. If it didn't even have this bit of value, how could it survive in the evil spirit race's divine territory? Immediately after, he threw all the materials on the evil spirit puppet. After throwing in pile after pile, the evil spirit puppet became stronger and stronger. Ding successfully broke through to the 2nd refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. Kaboom! The heavens' tribulation descended rapidly and flickered crazily. It was several times stronger than before. As expected, it was much stronger than cultivators. Every level was several levels stronger. No wonder late-stage Earth monarchs were rarely seen. If this continued, it would definitely be very heaven-defying. However, the evil spirit puppet wasn't afraid at all. It had already put on the armor that Tianyun had given it, and its resistance was even stronger. Immediately after, it threw a punch and blasted the heavens' tribulation. It easily blasted the heavens' tribulation away. After its physique was strengthened, it wouldn't be a problem to crush the heavens' tribulation. Its physique was dozens of times stronger than those at the same level, which was enough to prove how terrifying it was. It was also at the second refinement of the Earth Monarch realm, but this evil spirit puppet was at least dozens of times stronger than those at the same level. The opponent definitely wouldn't be able to hurt it. This was the power of the dark spirit fruit. Otherwise, President Miso wouldn't be so protective. It was for him to consume it and improve the effects of his physique. Again. Ding successfully broke through to the third refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. The Heaven's Tribulation attacked again, but it was still blasted by the evil spirit puppet with one punch. This effect was exactly the same as that of Tianyun back then. It could easily blast the Heaven's Tribulation to pieces. Ding successfully broke through to the fourth refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. Ding successfully broke through to the seventh refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. When it broke through to the seventh refinement of the Earth Monarch realm, it finally took some effort. The evil spirit puppet passed through the Heaven's Tribulation, and it was no longer like before, where it could be blasted apart with one punch. This was much more powerful than before. Even with the strengthened physique of the dark spirit fruit, the effect was still not too good. It seems that the eighth refinement of the Earth Monarch realm is the limit. If I continue to rush forward, I will have to continue to strengthen this physique. Tianyun shook his head. It wasn't that easy to break through. If he wanted to break through again, he would have to put in more effort. If not for the dark spirit fruit, he would have reached the limit long ago. As for breaking through to the ninth refinement of the Earth Monarch realm, he would need to strengthen his martial arts and spend more time on his physique. However, he didn't have that much time. The eighth refinement of the Earth Monarch realm was already very good. Again, I will finally break through to the eighth refinement of the Earth Monarch realm. Soon, he continued to smash the materials, filling up the evil spirit puppet. These materials weren't under any pressure at all. He had killed so many evil spirit race for this moment. He had to say that the feeling of continuously leveling up was really not bad. Boom! An even thicker tribulation lightning wreaked havoc in the sky. This time, Tianyun treated it carefully and let the evil spirit puppet release all of its power. It was a fight to the death. Chapter 12:10. Very good. The last step is to break through to the Lord of Heaven. Tianyun did not stop. He was definitely going to do it in one go. According to his estimations, if he used all the materials, breaking through to the Lord of Heaven would not be a problem. Since he could break through to a higher level, why not? Very quickly, he smashed all the materials in. As expected, it was just as he expected. He just reached the required experience to break through to the Lord of Heaven. Ding successfully broke through to the first level of the Lord of Heaven. This time, the heavenly tribulation came again. The heavenly tribulation could be said to be the strongest effect in history. It was almost equivalent to the effect of the previous 8 refinements gathered together and then aimed at the evil spirit puppet. However, it still withstood it again and again. It did not take the initiative to attack, completely withstanding this force bit by bit. With the current situation, this was the only thing he could do. If he took the initiative to attack, it would be better to defend with all his might. After all, the power of taking the initiative to attack was already not enough, so it was better to keep defending. Fortunately, the dark spirit fruit had a good recovery effect. Under the continuous injuries, it kept recovering, and everything was not a problem. After persisting for a week, it finally ended. After the terrifying heavenly tribulation ended, the evil spirit puppet was already heavily injured and looked like it was about to explode. Fortunately, it managed to hold on. If it was a little weaker, then everything would have been for naught. If the evil spirit puppet that he had painstakingly cultivated was destroyed, then it would be troublesome. Very good. Tianyun heaved a sigh of relief. Everything was finally over. Just now, he almost thought that he could not make it. Fortunately, he did not persist to break through to the 9 refinements Earth Lord, or else he would really be finished. The 8 refinements Earth Lord level was already very good. Even among cultivators, it was a very high level. As for the evil spirit race, it was a super genius level. There is the aura of the evil spirit race. Etienne's eyes flashed. He quickly disappeared on the spot and entered the evil spirit puppet's body. At the same time, he controlled the evil spirit puppet to quickly recover its body. Actually, he did not need to deliberately recover. When he broke through to the Lord of Heaven, thick dark attribute energy descended from the sky, quickly recovering the evil spirit puppet's body. It didn't take long for the evil spirit puppet to completely recover and be reborn. Moreover, it had become incomparably powerful. Etienne hadn't broken through to the Lord of Heaven, but his puppet had broken through to the Lord of Heaven first. Of course, the Lord of Heaven was not valuable to him. It was not something that could be destroyed with a single punch. When he opened his eyes, a figure appeared beside him and flew over respectfully. I didn't expect to see Milord breaking through here. I was just passing by and was afraid of disturbing Milord, so I stood guard at the side. Although this lowly one knows that no one can disturb Milord's tribulation, this lowly one still dares to stand guard. The one that flew over was a 2nd refinement Earth Lord evil spirit. He didn't know where it came from, but it just so happened to bump into him. Etienne felt that the place he had chosen was already remote enough. He never thought that there would still be evil spirit race coming over. Fortunately, he quickly hid in, otherwise he would have been seen. Why are you here? Etienne controlled the evil spirit puppet to stand up and looked at him coldly. Looks like Milord doesn't know the current situation? The evil spirit race said in surprise. Now that the 2 main cities of Fan Yu have been destroyed, I heard that a strong enemy is attacking. We can only hide in the divine realm first. But thinking about it, Milord is powerful, there is no need to worry about this. It seemed that the evil spirit race still had no lack of flatterers, no matter what race it was. I'm indeed not worried. Etienne smiled. He was the one who did it, so what could he be worried about? Why don't Milord go to the divine realm together? The evil spirit race rubbed his palms together. He had already treated him as a bodyguard on the road, and from his eyes, one could see a bit of fear. He was worried that he would be killed by that sudden force, and it was naturally not bad to have more experts accompanying him. Come here. Etienne waved his hand, signaling him to come over. The evil spirit race did not suspect anything, and flew over, asking doubtfully, Milord, why did you call this lowly one? Do you know who did it? Etienne asked. If this lowly one knows and reports it to the Lord of the Divine Realm, he will definitely be able to contribute. The evil spirit race said excitedly. The Divine Realm has already sent people down to investigate, but they can't find out who the mastermind is. They can only offer a bounty to find out his background, and if they find out, they will be heavily rewarded. Actually, I know who did it. Etienne grinned and said, I can share some information with you. Really? The evil spirit race was pleasantly surprised. He moved closer to his ear and said, Then please share it with me. That's what I did. Etienne said to him, You did it? Before he could finish speaking, Etienne slapped him, causing the evil spirit race to explode. At least before he died, he still knew who the real culprit was. After Etienne killed the evil spirit race, his gaze gradually turned cold. There's even a bounty. The evil spirit race will definitely make a big move. But the more chaotic the better. I want to see just how capable you guys are. Then, he started to fly towards the divine realm. After he reached this level, he could definitely head to the divine realm's forces and easily join them. Fan Yu was equivalent to a training base. When he nurtured a powerful evil spirit race, he would be able to join the divine realm's forces. This was equivalent to an outer sect disciple of a force being able to become an official disciple after making a breakthrough. Right now, Fan Yu's forces were equivalent to outer sect disciples. However, now that the outer sect forces had been destroyed by him, and had always been used as a place to train new subordinates, how could they not be angry? With the help of the map he had obtained earlier, he quickly arrived in front of the special passageway. Just like the other forces, there would be guards blocking the passageway. "What are you doing here?" The guards stopped a group of evil spirit races who were planning to enter the divine realm. They were only at the Star Monarch level. Lord, we want to come in and hide. I heard that some forces are coming to attack us. We are afraid." "Scram!" The guard coldly interrupted them. "Didn't we say that those with cultivation lower than the Earth Monarch are not allowed to enter? But if we continue to stay outside scram." The guard looked at them coldly, forcing them to scram back. These evil spirit race felt wronged in their hearts, but they could only choose to leave. Those with cultivation lower than the Earth Monarch did not have the slightest bit of authority. Tianyun glanced at them and could not be bothered with them. He raised his feet and flew forward. When the guards saw him, they immediately moved aside respectfully and bowed. "Welcome back, Lord." Chapter 12:11. Tianyun didn't need to prove anything. He lifted his foot and walked inside. No guard stopped him at all. Unlike the evil spirit race from before, even if it was extremely dangerous outside, the rules were the rules. Without reaching the Earth Monarch realm, one could not enter. It had to be said that it was extremely cruel. The survival of the fittest was vividly displayed on the evil spirit race's side. Those with too weak cultivation would not be allowed to enter even if they all died outside. Only those who met the conditions could enter. The Earth Monarch was the lowest threshold. Those with lower cultivation would have to obediently stay outside. Perhaps they would suffer heavy losses, but to them, the rules were the rules. If they died, so be it. They had no value anyway, so they would naturally be abandoned. Even if the divine domain could accommodate all the evil spirit race, they would not let them in. This was not the first force to do so. Even the divine domain of cultivators was the same. Those with too low a cultivation would not be allowed to enter. It looked cruel, but the truth was cruel. After passing through the passageway, he easily entered the area where the evil spirit race was. The moment he entered, it was filled with dense dark energy. As far as the eye could see, there were many dark cores, much more than the ones outside. It could be said that with a casual glance, he could see many cores scattered at the side. Each one was larger than the last, and their grade was higher than the ones outside. As for the cores of other attributes, he did not see a single one. He thought that they should have been teleported somewhere. After all, Fan Yu did not only have one attribute, but many. However, there was not a single one here. He did not know where they were hidden. "The environment here is really much better than the outside." Tianyun shook his head. According to the regional division, this place was at most within the range of a first-grade god domain, but the rich star power, coupled with the amazing number of cores, made this place stronger than a second-grade god domain. In his opinion, it should have the effect of a third-grade divine domain. A peripheral divine domain had been forcefully piled up into a third-grade divine domain with so many resources. After he entered, he directly flew to a nearby planet to take a look. No one stopped him here at all. Instead, when they saw him, they were all very respectful. This was the disparity in status. Even if he only had the cultivation of the Lord of Heaven, he was already above many evil spirit race. As long as one's cultivation was lower than his, he would have to address him as Lord. When they entered the nearest planet, the environment here was actually no different from the outside. The biggest difference was that there were a lot fewer slaves. There were basically a few slaves scattered around, unlike the piles of slaves outside. There were even more slaves than the local evil spirit race. The slaves here were all the top quality type. They all had special abilities, special bloodlines, or cultivation bases. At the very least, it wouldn't just be a superficial improvement. Instead, it would be an all-around improvement and become even more powerful. From the looks of it, those who owned slaves were generally at the level of the Lord of Heaven, and those at the level of the earthly monarch did not have slaves at all. But thinking about it, these slaves were all at the earth monarch realm. How could he obtain slaves with higher cultivation than him? However, everything was based on the rules. If one wanted to obtain a slave, one had to meet the requirement. If one's cultivation was not up to the standard, one would not have the qualifications to bring a slave here. Bringing slaves here was like bringing a rich man's attendant. Without money, it was impossible to buy an attendant. No wonder so many earth monarchs chose to stay outside. Outside, they can still be addressed as Lord, but here they can't even have slave. Tianyun shook his head. The treatment here was much worse than outside. However, it did not mean that there were no weak cultivators here. On the contrary, there were also many weak cultivators, but these were the pure evil spirit race, which meant that they had the purest evil spirit race bloodline. These pure orthodox ones, even if their cultivation was low, did not need to call them Lord when facing those with strong cultivation. This was like a prince of the royal family. So what if his cultivation was lower than theirs? As long as his status was higher than theirs, it was fine. Cultivation could bring about a higher status, but status could be exchanged for, and it could surpass cultivation. This was not absolute. If one's cultivation was heaven-defying, any prince would be killed with a single slap. However, in a situation where one's cultivation was normal, one's status was everything here. With such a pure bloodline, they would naturally stay here and focus on nurturing them. In Fan Yu's forces, this was actually the meaning. Most of them had mixed bloodlines, which meant that when they were born from other races, the bloodlines in their bodies were no longer pure. As a result, their status was even lower. In this place, bloodline was king. The purer the bloodline, the more valuable it was. Therefore, the experts here, or the elders, were all pure bloodlines. Other than pure bloodlines, those below the Earth Monarch realm were basically not allowed to appear here. As a result, there were relatively few evil spirit races here. However, after years of accumulation, there were still quite a few evil spirit races staying here, just that they were much fewer than outside. Of course, there was also an exception, and that was to be an ordinary servant. These were still necessary. These were all people who could enter to serve these pure bloodline evil spirit race regardless of their background. Even so, the screening would still be very strict, and not just any evil spirit race could enter. It could be said that this was the base of the pure bloodline, and they were the true masters of this place. If his cultivation and bloodline were both strong, then his status would undoubtedly be higher. Tianyun's current evil spirit puppet was in existence with an extremely pure bloodline, without any impurities. As a result, when he walked on this path, he would attract attention and they would all be extremely respectful to him, thinking that this was the symbol of nobility. After that, he casually walked around here to observe the overall situation. This place was much stricter than the outside, and the security was even tighter. He had an idea, casually pulled over an evil spirit race and asked, "Come here for a moment. Lord, is there something you need from me?" The evil spirit race ran over and said respectfully, "Has anything happened here recently? I just returned from cultivating outside, so I'm not very clear about the situation here." Tianyun said, "So that's how it is. Lord, you don't know, but recently, Fan Yu's forces were destroyed by some unknown force, causing our king to be furious. He immediately sent people to investigate the situation. Fortunately, the goddess's selection of God's child has not stopped, and is still being carried out." The evil spirit race said hatefully, "I wonder which force did it. If they were to be investigated, even a third-grade divine domain would not be able to bear the consequences." Chapter 12:12. That's right, don't you know? The evil spirit race had a strange expression on his face. I don't know. Is there a problem? Tianyun looked at him coldly. The evil spirit race's entire body trembled as he anxiously said, No, no, this lowly one did not mean that. This matter has basically been spread out. As long as one is above the Earth Monarch realm, they can participate in the selection of the God-child. Didn't I tell you that I've been in seclusion outside for a long time? Tianyun said coldly. Yes, I'm sorry. This lowly one knows that Lord has worked hard to cultivate. The higher your cultivation, the more likely you are to be selected as the God-child. The evil spirit race continued to smile apologetically. Tell me what's going on. Tianyun was too lazy to bother with him. On the contrary, he was somewhat interested in this matter. Actually, it's very simple. It's to inform the clansmen of the Earth Monarch realm and above to participate. They can choose to participate or not. As long as the bloodline is pure, such as you, Lord, there's no problem. You can easily participate, the evil spirit race explained. Tianyun nodded. If the goddess chose the godchild, she would definitely need a pure bloodline. If she did not even have this bloodline, she would definitely not be able to pass. Originally, this place was mainly focused on pure bloodlines. If one did not even have this foundation, they could only be spectators. Alright, I'll go participate now. Where do I go from? Tianyun asked. He didn't even think too much about it and decided to participate. This was a rare opportunity to infiltrate the interior of the godchild. After being selected as the godchild, one could imagine how much his status would increase. At that time, most of the evil spirit race would listen to his orders. In this kind of situation, it was much easier to deal with them than to use violence. Moreover, violence was not a good choice here. At the very least, with his cultivation, he was temporarily unable to do so. When he entered this place, he could feel several divine lords patrolling at the side. As for the Lord of Heaven, it was even more shocking. If they were to fight, he could only choose to escape. If he became a godchild, he would definitely be able to control a lot of things, so he didn't even think about it before participating. You have to go to the front to register. You have to go through a round of screening before you can participate. The evil spirit race respectfully pointed to the front and said. Tianyun nodded his head and walked forward. When the evil spirit race saw Tianyun leave, he spat on the ground and left. These evil spirit race all had a temper. However, when facing their superiors, they could only choose to obey and did not dare to disobey in the slightest. Tianyun did not walk too far. Very quickly, he saw that there were evil spirit race flying in all directions. He did not even need to point the way to know that the registration point was in front of him. After passing through a house, a towering pagoda came into view. This pagoda gave him a sense of familiarity. God-slaying pagoda? He suddenly recalled where he had encountered it before. That was the god-killing pagoda. The style of the pagoda in front of him was the style of the killing god pagoda. Could it be related to the killing god? He did not think too much about it and quickly arrived at the pagoda. There were already many evil spirit race queuing up inside. The lowest cultivation level was at the first refinement Earth Lord, which was the most basic. Although Tianyun did not know how the test was conducted, he believed that if it was at the first refinement Earth Lord level, there was basically no hope. If one did not even have any basic strength, it would be too difficult to be chosen as the Son of God, unless they did not compete in strength. Even so, they would still come over to try their luck. What if they really succeeded? After Tianyun came over, it did not cause any waves. There were many Lord of Heaven present, and some of them were even at the 3rd or 4th level of the Lord of Heaven. They were even stronger than him, so how could they cause any waves? Especially since the participants were all pure bloodlines, any impurities would be immediately eliminated. Therefore, it was very strict. Just by looking at the deacon at the front, one could tell how strict it was. Line up one by one. No matter what your identity is or what abilities you have, line up for me and check one by one. The deacon of the Lord of Heaven looked at them coldly, indicating that they had to follow the rules. If everyone was in chaos, there would be no way to continue here. Following that, the first step they needed to take was to investigate the bloodline in their bodies. What they needed was the purest bloodline. The naked eye and spiritual sense were not very accurate, so they had to rely on treasures to be able to clearly detect it. They lined up to touch a crystal ball. If there was no problem, it would be completely black. If they had other bloodlines, other colors would appear, and at that time, it would mean that they were unqualified. Buzz. At this time, 2 colors appeared on the crystal ball. The Earth Lord who touched the crystal ball retracted his hand and smiled embarrassedly. I'm sorry, I didn't know, scram. The deacon of the Lord of Heaven slapped over, causing the Earth Lord evil spirit race to explode with a single slap, turning him into a headless corpse. This action caused the bodies of the evil spirit race behind him to tremble. He killed without any hesitation. Immediately after, the guards at the side immediately helped to deal with it. Let me say it again, don't think about getting away with it. Otherwise, you will die. Don't waste our time, there are still many clansmen who need to be assessed. The deacon of the Lord of Heaven was extremely strict and did not show any mercy when he attacked. My lord, I'm sorry. I remembered that I still have something to do. Me too. At this moment, some of the evil spirit race in line hurriedly took their leave. Needless to say, they also wanted to muddle through. Fortunately, they weren't in front of him, otherwise, he would have been the first to die. After they left one by one, the front was immediately empty. Tianyun shook his head. It seemed that the strictness of the bloodline here was beyond imagination. Those with impure bloodlines were no different from trash. The difference in treatment was too great. With less people fishing in troubled waters, it was soon his turn to line up. There was no special test, it was just a test of his bloodline. He believed that there was absolutely no problem with his bloodline. He extended his hand and covered the crystal ball. Very quickly, the crystal ball released a dazzling light. It was much more dazzling than the light emitted by the others. Furthermore, it was incomparably black, terrifyingly black, like a black hole. What did you consume to strengthen yourself? The deacon of the Lord of Heaven's gaze darkened. I did consume some spirit fruit. May I know what's the problem? Tianyun looked up at him and said, Yes. You are not suitable to participate in this God's child test. Get out immediately. The deacon of the Lord of Heaven pointed outside and said coldly. Tianyun narrowed his eyes and looked at him. He did not leave immediately. Instead, he looked at him indifferently and said, Is this your rule or the rule of the higher-ups? I don't remember this rule. It's just a simple test of the purity of your bloodline. I'm the deacon here now. Everything is up to me. The deacon of the Lord of Heaven said sternly, his voice somewhat louder. Chapter 12-13. The Lord of Heaven's deacon's attitude immediately made Tianyun feel very unhappy. There was such a rule? He had never heard of such a rule. At most, if one's bloodline was impure, they would not be able to participate. He had never heard of anything else. You have the final say? You mean to say that this is your own rule, and not the rules of the higher-ups? Tianyun sneered, I want to see the elder. You think you can see the elder just because you want to? The Lord of Heaven's deacon flew into a rage. Get out of here now, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. This Lord of Heaven's deacon's cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Lord of Heaven's cultivation. He was quite strong. Then get the hell out of here first. Tianyun's gaze turned cold as he kicked back. The Lord of Heaven's deacon did not expect him to really attack. He did not have time to block and was kicked away. Boom! Under the dumbstruck gazes of the evil spirit race, the Lord of Heaven's deacon was sent flying with a single kick. After passing through several walls, he fell limply to the ground, unable to move. The guards at the side were all dumbfounded. They never thought that someone would really dare to make a move, especially against a deacon. This was undoubtedly a provocation of authority. Isn't this too arrogant? He even dares to hit a deacon? This time, he's finished. He's definitely going to die. Offending his superiors is definitely a death sentence. They shook their heads. Most of them were still gloating and did not have the slightest bit of sympathy. How could such a big scene not attract the elder's attention? Very quickly, an expert of the Lord of Heaven's 8th level flew over. When he saw the situation, he said coldly, "What exactly is going on?" The Lord of Heaven's deacon, who was kicked away, slowly got up. A large part of his chest had already caved in. Tianyun did not kill him. He really wanted to kill him, but if he really did, then he really wouldn't be able to participate. Elder, he attacked me. He's not satisfied with my arrangements." The Lord of Heaven deacon pointed at Tianyun, trembling. His heart was already bursting with rage. How could he tolerate such a situation? The elder turned his head and looked at Tianyun coldly. "Disobeying your superiors and disrupting the order is a capital offense." The elder was incomparably furious, and the aura of the Lord of Heaven enveloped over. He stretched out his hand, wanting to slap Tianyun to death. In his opinion, with his cultivation level, it would not be a problem for him to suppress Tianyun. Tianyun grabbed the crystal and released a pitch-black radiance. At the same time, he quickly said, "Elder, look at my test result." He said that I can't participate in the God's Son selection. Is this true? The charging elder immediately stopped his attack and stared at the pitch-black crystal ball in shock. He immediately understood what was going on and turned to look at the deacon beside him. The deacon who was being stared at trembled and lowered his head, not daring to look at the elder. Very good. Very good. I didn't expect that you would do such a thing after being appointed as a deacon. Prejudice. Do you think you can be selected as the God's Son just because you eliminated one opponent?" The elder angrily said, "Go back and cultivate in seclusion. Don't even think about participating in this God's Son selection." But what? If people find out, not to mention you, even I will be implicated." "You idiot." The elder's hand trembled uncontrollably. He wanted nothing more than to slap the other party to death. Yes, the Lord of Heaven deacon thought of something and could only get up and leave. He didn't dare to turn his head back and just glared at Tianyun without saying anything. Tianyun finally understood what was going on. So this guy was a competitor in the God's Son selection. Seeing that Tianyun's bloodline was more outstanding, he abused his power to stop him. But what was the point? This was just one of the selection points. There were many people with more orthodox bloodlines than him. There was no point in chasing him away. "I'm sorry. I didn't teach you well. How about we forget about this matter?" The elder walked over and flipped his hand. A high-grade reincarnation-grade weapon appeared in his hand, indicating that it was an apology gift for Tianyun. Although he didn't know what the relationship between the two was, they were definitely relatives. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so biased. Sure. Tianyun didn't say anything else. He took the weapon. If he could take it, he would definitely take it. It wouldn't do him any good to fall out with the other party. You have passed. Your bloodline is pure enough and you have been strengthened. Obviously, you have eaten some spirit fruit. This is a good sign. After a simple explanation, the elder took out a token and handed it over. He said, "This is the selection token. Take it to Goddess City." Goddess City, as the name suggested, was the city where the goddess lived. It was a big city specially built for the goddess. It was actually a huge planet. It was just that people usually called it that. "Thank you." Tianyun couldn't be bothered to say anything more. He was in the right, but from the elder's eyes, He could see that the other party was also very unhappy with him. Since that was the case, what else could he say? He just needed to take the things and leave. After taking the token, he quickly went to Goddess City. Goddess City was quite far from here. Fortunately, there was a teleportation array. Otherwise, he would have to fly for a long time. After passing through several teleportation arrays, he finally arrived at the planet near Goddess City. He had to fly himself for the remaining distance. He couldn't teleport there directly. The meaning of doing this was probably even more noble. Not everyone could use this teleportation array to go to the vicinity of Goddess City. The Goddess City in front of him wasn't big. On the contrary, the planet it was on was huge. Comparatively speaking, the established city was much smaller. After examining it, Tianyun didn't find any core inside. As a goddess city, it actually didn't have any core inside. It was unbelievable. Even the first city he came to had a core embedded in it. In this famous goddess city, there wasn't even half a core. This made him feel strange. It was clearly such an important place, but there was no core. Could it be that Goddess City without a core has some special meaning? Tianyun frowned. He saw many evil spirit race people flying towards Goddess City. They were obviously candidates. However, even if they weren't candidates, they could still go to Goddess City. They just couldn't participate in the selection of the Son of God. His gaze was quickly noticed by the other evil spirit races, and the gazes that met his gaze were filled with hostility. Here, other than himself, everyone else was an enemy. After all, in the selection of the Son of God, there would only be one, not two. Therefore, the other participants were all enemies. They didn't have any companions. Chapter 12-14. The current situation in Goddess City was already a sea of people, and evil spirit race people were walking around everywhere. Fortunately, although Goddess City was a little small, it was very spacious outside. At the same time, if one was not a candidate, they would not be able to enter and could only watch the situation from the outside. If one looked at the situation from the outside, there was no problem. They could still see everything clearly. All of the selection activities could be seen here. As Tianyun was a candidate, he could directly enter Goddess City. Token, the guard said in a dignified voice. Tianyun handed over the token. After the guard received it, he checked it for a bit and nodded, indicating that he was allowed to enter. Tianyun took back the token and walked in. The guard continued to check the next candidate. The difficulty of the selection was not high to begin with. As long as one met the two conditions of an Earth monarch and a pure bloodline, they would be able to successfully participate. These two conditions were not harsh. In the entire evil spirit divine realm, there were many who met them. The moment he entered, he saw that there were many evil spirit races inside. These were all people who had met the requirement. They all chose to meditate nearby and wait for the selection to begin. The inside of Goddess City was even more simple and crude. There were wide grounds everywhere, and there weren't even any houses. There was only a palace-like place in front of him. There was nothing else, and it was truly simple and crude. Tianyun could not believe that this was a goddess city. From the looks of it, it didn't look like a goddess city at all. It was just a casual city without any sense of solemnity. Isn't this goddess city too simple and crude? Tianyun frowned. Any random city outside would be more prosperous than this place. This place was extremely simple and crude. He did not know the situation inside the palace, but it should be slightly better. It was just that it was a little cold outside. He glanced around and saw that there were quite a few candidates. Some of them came in groups, while others came alone. Tianyun did not attract much attention when he entered. No one paid any attention to him, and they were all busy with their own matters. Tianyun also chose a place to sit down. Since it had not started, he could only find a place nearby to meditate and wait. He didn't know when it would start, but he could only wait here. But from the looks of it, many evil spirit races had been waiting here for a long time, and they were getting a little impatient. Time passed quickly. 2 weeks later, the sound of doors closing could be heard from outside, indicating that the time was up. Those who did not arrive would be considered as not participating. Is it finally starting? Tianyun slowly opened his eyes and turned to look at the situation behind him. The door was closed, but they could still fly in from above. It seemed like an unnecessary move, but it was actually a matter of rules. If anyone really dared to fly in, they would probably be killed on the spot before they could even fly in. This only meant that the door was about to close, and the rest of the candidates could not enter, let alone unrelated personnel. After closing the door, 3 chairs soon appeared in the void in front of him, floating in the air. Following that, 3 extremely strong god lords tore through the void and walked over. They sat on the chair and looked down on everything. With a powerful and domineering aura, the lowest cultivation level of the 3 evil spirit races was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord Realm, and the highest was at the 9th level of the Divine Lord Realm. If they continued to break through like this, they would reach the peak level and become an Empyrean. The power that these 3 people represented was already not simple. Even the 2nd-grade god domain might not have so many experts with high cultivation. Moreover, the evil spirit race's advantage was obvious. They were a level stronger than them, so they would be even more powerful. Tianyun believed that there must be more experts in their group, and these are just 3 representatives. It was impossible for all the experts to come over for a god-child selection ceremony. That would be too exaggerated. Welcome, Elder Tesso, Elder Ear, Elder Soul Cloud. All of them knelt on the ground to welcome the appearance of the 3 evil spirit races. Their expressions were extremely respectful, not daring to show the slightest bit of disrespect. This was the dignity of a superior. How could they dare to be disrespectful? After the 3 elders took their seats, the evil spirit race slowly stood up and looked at their elders respectfully. It's another 1,000-year god-child selection ceremony. As usual, it's all about using your strength and your hot blood to display your strength. Prove that you can surpass all the clansmen present, and prove that you can sit on the position of god-child. Elder Tai Sua's low voice spread out in all directions, circle after circle. Even the evil spirit race outside could hear it clearly. They all flew in the air and looked over. Although they couldn't enter, watching from the outside did not affect their perception at all. They could still see very clearly. Every 1,000 years, we will choose a godchild to accompany the goddess and give birth to the most outstanding life. You bear the heavy responsibility of reviving the evil spirit race. Therefore, this godchild selection is more to prove whether you can bring more glory to the evil spirit race. Elder Ear also said from the side. Elder Soul Cloud didn't say anything else. He just maintained his silence at the side, as if he had come to calm the situation. However, their words were already enough to make the many evil spirit race members excited. Those who were chosen in the end would definitely reach the peak. Especially the heavy responsibility of reviving the evil spirit race, it made them feel extremely heavy. Revival of the evil spirit race? Tianyun immediately caught the words. Could it be that the current evil spirit race was still declining? It looked better than an ordinary 3rd-grade god domain, and it even had a 4th-grade god domain. Was this still considered bad? Then, let's invite the goddess to descend now. Elder Tesso didn't say anything else. He stretched out his hand and waved forward. A pitch-black light descended from the sky and enveloped the center of the empty space in front of him. It was obvious that the goddess had appeared. Goddess? I guess they are all this ugly. Tianyun shook his head. Seeing the ugly appearance of the evil spirit race, he really didn't have the slightest interest. If he really married the so-called goddess, wouldn't he die of disgust? These evil spirit race members, regardless of whether they were male or female, were all tall and strong. Their bodies were pitch black, and the lines of their muscles were visible. He really couldn't arouse the slightest bit of interest. This was the problem of aesthetic standard. At least, the aesthetic standards of the evil spirit race didn't suit him at all. However, if he wanted to become a godchild, he didn't really want to marry the goddess. He still wanted to use this position to more easily infiltrate them. Just when he thought that the goddess was still extremely ugly, a snow-white figure appeared in his line of sight. An extremely beautiful girl descended in his line of sight just like that. Her entire body was snow-white, including her long hair. She looked like a snow-white maiden. Her extremely exquisite skin was as smooth as a piece of white jade. Chapter 12-15. What appeared in front of Tianyun was not the evil spirit race, but a beautiful girl. All of this was not the main point. The main point was that she was not from the evil spirit race, but from the divine spirit race. The divine spirit race was actually the spirit race, a race in the three realms. However, the divine spirit race was indeed extremely high, and their bloodline was ranked at the top. And she was a goddess? This was shocking to him. Wasn't the goddess a member of the evil spirit race? How could she be from the divine spirit race? Moreover, if she were to marry with the divine spirit race, wouldn't her bloodline be mixed? He had thought that she would be very ugly, but who would have thought that she would be like a goddess, a true goddess? With the pure bloodline of the divine spirit race, her body emitted a holy light, making her look extremely holy, making others feel that she was not blasphemous. Not only did he want to blaspheme her, he wanted the evil spirit race to do so. Tianyun could see disgust, and anger in the goddess's pitch-black eyes, but she could not move. Her body was firmly controlled, and she could not even say a word. It was obvious that she had been captured and imprisoned here as a goddess. To put it nicely, she was a goddess. To put it bluntly, she was a slave that would nurture their next generation. He did not know why they had captured the divine spirit race to marry, but they definitely had their own intentions. Soon after, he thought of something and turned to look at the Earth Lord beside him. His eyes flickered with light, and he immediately bewitched the Earth Lord. Every 1,000 years, there will be this goddess ceremony? Tianyun asked. Yes, every 1,000 years, there will be this goddess ceremony to select the most outstanding clansmen to marry with the goddess so that they can give birth to the most outstanding descendants. The evil spirit race replied with a dull gaze. Every time, it's the divine spirit race? Tianyun continued to ask. Yes, every time, it's the divine spirit race. They will choose the most outstanding descendants of the divine spirit race, so that they can marry with our race and give birth to even more powerful descendants. The evil spirit race replied. Tianyun's gaze turned cold as he caught onto an extremely important piece of information. The divine spirit race has been imprisoned? No, we will capture the divine spirit race, so the divine spirit race often changes locations. We mainly capture women. After we capture them, we imprison them and wait 1,000 years to select the Son of God. The evil spirit race answered truthfully. He knew a lot of things, and it should be said that most of the evil spirit race knew this. Tianyun had just arrived, so it was normal that he didn't know. What's the difference if we combine them? Won't our bloodlines be mixed? Tianyun was a little confused about this point. However, not only will the bloodline of the divine spirit race remain intact, but it will also strengthen itself. The divine spirit race is like a treasure. No matter what race it is, as long as they reproduce with the divine spirit race, they will give birth to even purer descendants, and all aspects will be strengthened. The evil spirit race explained. Is there such a magical ability? Tianyun was shocked. He remembered that the godly spirit race had a hard time reproducing. Could it be that they had a special bloodline that made it hard for them to reproduce? They had to be full of vitality to be able to reproduce. This made him instantly understand many things. No wonder they had captured the divine spirit race. It turned out that there was such a thing. However, at that time, the three realms had been too cruel, and the spirit race had all been exterminated. Compared to the goddess above, he felt that her bloodline was not as strong. It was probably because of the environment that she had been weakened a lot, allowing the evil spirit race to act so recklessly. The weakened divine spirit race could no longer be considered a divine spirit race, and could only be called a spirit race. He turned his gaze back to the goddess. It seemed that he was definitely going to become a god-child this time. He definitely could not let them succeed. Seeing the helplessness and anger in the goddess's eyes, it was truly sad to think about it. Being imprisoned here as a slave for reproduction was truly cruel. This was only once every 1,000 years. Who knew how many divine spirit races had been captured? It was simply cruel. No wonder the goddess city here wasn't that luxurious, nor did it have any dark core. The goddess was not even the goddess of the evil spirit race, so there was no need to use any dark core, nor was there a need to build it so luxuriously. In any case, she was not one of their clansmen, so there was no need to waste it like this. This place was used to select the godchild. It was used to select the most outstanding godchild to mate with the goddess and give birth to even more outstanding descendant. Whether it was the goddess or the godchild, they were just tools for the revival of the evil spirit race. He guessed that the divine spirit race's special bloodline could be strengthened while preserving the evil spirit race's bloodline. It could even allow the evil spirit race to possess the abilities of the divine spirit race. What's the situation with the previous godchild? What are the achievements of the descendants they gave birth to? Etianyan asked. I don't know about that. The other party shook his head. He wasn't very clear about this. After all, he didn't know everything. At most, he could only know about the situation of the goddess ceremony. These were all things that any random evil spirit race could know about. If they wanted to participate in this test, they naturally needed to understand it clearly. Otherwise, they would really be idiots if they charged in casually. Etienne's gaze turned cold. Then go and kill your own clansmen. He waved his hand, and the Earth Lord evil spirit race immediately rushed towards his companions, pulled out his sharp sword, and attacked crazily. The other party didn't even have time to react before he was killed by his own clansmen. This caused a huge commotion, and even the evil spirit race at the side were shocked. However, they quickly reacted and rushed over to surround and kill the traitor evil spirit race. Is this guy crazy? Why did he suddenly attack? I think he must be crazy. Seeing how beautiful the goddess is, he wanted to take her for himself. He killed all the candidates and became the godchild himself. Is this possible? Can he kill all of his clansmen? All of them were discussing and guessing. It had to be said that the goddess standing in front of them made them exclaim in admiration. If they could become the godchild, they would be able to take it for themselves. When the three elders at the side saw that the situation had calmed down, they didn't say much and turned their gazes back to the goddess. This is the new goddess. She possesses an extremely strong divine spirit race bloodline and is much more outstanding than before. Now, it will depend on your abilities. Let's see if you have the ability to become the godchild. Elder Tesso said with a faint smile. I must become the godchild. The one who will become the godchild is me. All of them started to roar as if they had been injected with chicken blood, making them extremely excited. How could they miss such a beautiful goddess? All of a sudden, all of them started to cheer, and the atmosphere became much more lively. However, with so many evil spirit races, only one of them could obtain victory in the end. Chapter 12:16. Etianyan would definitely destroy the evil spirit race's plan and not leave a single one alive. He never thought that he would be able to witness such a thing after coming here. He knew that there was such a disgusting ceremony. The divine spirit race was truly a victim. He had finally seen the divine spirit race in the divine domain. The saddest thing was that the divine spirit race had become slaves and were at their mercy. Especially the goddess's helpless gaze. The other evil spirit race seemed to make their blood boil, but in his eyes it was so pitiful. When they were captured, they were destined to be imprisoned like their predecessors until the reproduction ended. Then, their lives would come to an end. Judging from their situation, they could only give birth once at most. It would be difficult for them to give birth to any more. The rarer a race was, the more difficult it was to reproduce. It was already good enough to have one more child, let alone a second. If they could reproduce at will, their numbers would have been quite large long ago, and they wouldn't have become so few. Then, the rules of the Son of God selection ceremony have always been very simple, that is, to fight. Unless one was knocked out of the arena, it would not be considered as admitting defeat. Regardless of life or death on the field, a true Son of God needs to be baptized in blood. The first round will select 100 clansmen. Elder Tesso pointed at the wall in front of him. Those who fly out or are sent flying are considered to have admitted defeat and been eliminated. Every place here is your battlefield. Then, the Son of God selection ceremony will now officially begin. Out of so many evil spirit races, only 100 could remain in the end. This Son of God selection ceremony was truly cruel, especially when it came to life and death. The evil spirit race really liked this kind of battle method. It was rough and barbaric enough. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding evil spirit race did not hesitate to attack the clansmen beside him without any hesitation. Although it was said that 100 would be left behind, if they really kept hiding at the side, then it would be impossible for them to be selected. They chose heroes, not cowards. Elder Tesso did not say it before, but everyone understood this logic and did not need to explain too much. Killing at will? You've really won my heart. I was just about to say that if I can't start a massacre, then I'll be too disappointed. Etienne's gaze turned cold, and without any hesitation, he exploded out. His tall and sturdy body charged forward, smashing the evil spirit race into meat paste. Ding. Successfully killed the evil spirit race. Earth Monarch Level 3. Obtained experience. Ding. Successfully killed the evil spirit race. Earth Monarch Level 2. Obtained experience. Ding. Successfully killed the evil spirit race. First stage Heaven Monarch. Obtained experience. Ding. As long as the evil spirit race is walking in front of him, he will list them as his targets. No one would be able to stop him. Even if a first stage Heaven Monarch from the evil spirit race stood in front of him, he would still explode with a few punches. Spirit Demon's spirit, Dragon Yun, it to be spirit. His god of slaughter state caused the surrounding evil spirit race to jump in fright. They anxiously fled to the side. This power was so terrifying, who would dare to stop him? Spirit race people of the battle, 1-1-1-1-1-2-1-1-1 race 1-1-1-1-1-2-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. For a time, blood filled the entire goddess city. No wonder it was so empty. It was originally a battlefield of slaughter, so why would there be a need to build so many houses? The spectators outside cheered continuously. Seeing such a crazy scene inside, all of them were extremely excited. They liked this kind of killing scene, the strong being the king. Some of the participants couldn't take it anymore and hurriedly flew out. If they were lucky, they would even be able to fly out. If they were unlucky, they would be dragged down and killed. Even if they wanted to escape, they wouldn't be able to. This was how cruel it was. The goddess in the center of the arena looked at them coldly. Die, all of you, die for me, a bunch of trash. The goddess kept praying in her heart, praying that they would all die, but this was impossible. In the end, when 100 evil spirit race were left, they would stop and proceed to the next stage of the battle. The three great elders looked down from above, and when they saw something bright, they started to discuss. That clansman is not bad. Although he is only at the first level of the Lord of Heaven, the strength he displayed is extremely shocking, comparable to the third or fourth level of the Lord of Heaven. From the looks of it, he has reached the level of the 8th refinement Earth Lord. That's right, the level of the 8th refinement Earth Lord is not easy to break through. Among so many participants, the number of people who can reach the 8th refinement Earth Lord can be counted on one hand. I can feel that he has consumed the dark spirit fruit, and it's not just one, it should be two. Elder Soul Cloud, who was silent at the side, suddenly spoke, and immediately said what spirit fruit Tianyun had consumed. He has consumed the dark spirit fruit? Elder Tesso's eyes lit up. That's right, after sensing it carefully, it is indeed so. He actually had such a fortuitous encounter, found that dark spirit fruit, and even consumed 2 of them. Consuming 2, what a waste. 1 is enough, yet he still consumed 2, they shook their heads. The effect of 1 was the best, and the effect of the second would be greatly reduced. If they could exchange for other treasures, it would undoubtedly be more worthwhile. For example, they could exchange for the evil spirit race's heavenly Tao martial art. After all, the rarity of the dark spirit fruit was something that even these elders coveted. But now that it has been consumed, it is useless for them to say anything. After all, even if they kill Tianyun, it is impossible for him to spit out the dark spirit fruit. They can only envy this fortuitous encounter. There is also the one over there. His combat power is also amazing. It seems that the juniors this time are quite capable. It will be really difficult to choose at that time. What is difficult to choose? The outstanding ones can choose the other race, and they can still reproduce good offspring. They do not intend to really leave one person alive, the rest will die. There is no need to do so in the early stage. Survival of the fittest, first eliminate a bunch of trash, leaving a part of the best, this is the key. Tianyun is too lazy to pay attention to their plan. He is now killing crazily. He doesn't know how many he killed. With the help of the dark spirit fruit, his physique is amazing, the opponent's attack is useless. He doesn't feel any pain when they hit him. After some time, when he felt that he has accumulated a lot of experience and crazy point, there was an explosion in his ear. Stop. With the order to stop, the evil spirit race who was immersed in killing suddenly woke up. At this time, Tianyun turned his head and looked to the side. There are already countless bodies lying on the ground, blood is flowing. The thick smell of blood rushed to the sky, it is disgusting. There are only 100 evil spirit race left standing on the battlefield, no more, no less, exactly 100. There are at least tens of thousands of people who participated in the battle, and now there are only 100 left. It is really cruel. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.